Hello, everyone. Hi. I don't hear. Can you
Hello,
hear?
hello, Kimbola. That was because I turned off the microphone on everybody. Let me turn on so they can talk to you for a minute.
Okay. So the opening prayers is going to the who have to do or hello?
Good morning.
Yes,
So I do the opening prayer.
yes.
Okay. So then I have to share the screen.
You will share the screen?
Yes, opening
Sure.
prayer.
Yes, okay.
Okay. Testing first.
Good morning, Campo. This is GARCHEN Institute. We're gonna play the bells to begin at 8:54 so that we start right at 9.
Okay. So it's screen share, yeah? You can see, yes?
Yes, yes, I do see it.
Okay, so then when we starting, I share the screen and then
Yes.
I do. Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Kimbola.
Mm.
we never know. I think she hasn't.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because usually it's right here, but
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh. Said I'm not. Oh, done. Oh, I felt like we are not. Um, yeah, I do, but it's.
you need to be like this. That's what you need to do. Otherwise, it's,
But he doesn't do that.
but he's louder. Like his voice is louder. So he doesn't have to be that close. So he could be here. And
Because I have louder.
Good morning, Tashidele Rinpoche.
다시
Tashidele.
일보제 고다 제바 도마 고다 제바라 다시 데레 쇼게 데레 쇼게
Shogedele Rinpoche, Tashidele Sangha. We're going to do opening prayer first. All mothers and beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those clear obstacles to my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separate from suffering, and save love, establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. All mothers and beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those create obstacles to my path to liberation and omniscience. May they experience happiness, be separate from suffering and safely. I will establish them in the state of unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious Buddhahood. Da la dang war se be da no bar se be ge tar ba dang dam je jen be bar de jo bar se ba dam je tor se be ma nam ga da nyam be sem je dam je de wa dang de do ngar dang ra nyor de la na me yang da bar zo be zang jo rum bo je do bar za. Thus, unto achieve enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with the body, speech, and the mind. We take refuge in the kind rule Lama and the lineage Lamas. We take refuge in the deities of the mandalas of Yadams. We take refuge in all the exalted Buddhas. We take refuge in the perfect Dharma. We take refuge in the excellent order of the Sanghas. We take refuge in all the noble Dakas, the Dakinis, and the Dhamma gardens, possessors of the eye of wisdom. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma. Likewise, in the example of Bodhisattvas, as the previous Buddhas invested in enlightened mind and the progress on the Bodhisattva's path, are true for the benefit of all sentient beings, giving birth to bodhicitta, and applying myself to a complete stage of the path. Until I attain the heart of enlightenment, I take refuge in all the Buddhas. I take refuge in the Dharma and likewise in the example of Bodhisattvas. As the previous Buddhas invested in enlightened mind and the progress on the Bodhisattva's path, are true for the benefit of all sentient beings, giving birth to bodhicitta, and apply myself to a complete stage of the path. Sanjo Nimbo Jija Bar Sanje Nam Lai Job Zenje Tudan Sanjo Zemba Ye Tolan De Yin Job Zenje Chetarang Menje De Jeji Sanjo Done Jibadang Sanjo Zembe La Bala De Dai Ren Yen Ne Badar yen ro ben don de san jo sen e ji je yen yen de ne la ba la ren ba yen de la ba re je. In the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha, most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering, the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness that is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. So we skip the 7-line prayer. This little bit long. The mandala offering. The ground is sprinkling with the scented water and strewed with the flowers. It is adorned with the Meru, the spirit mountain, the 4 continents, and the sun and the moon as Buddha fair are offer it. May all sentient beings attain the happiness as a Buddha fares. Sa ye bi je zo ye me do zhang, re rai lin ye nye de jin ban de, Sanje Shen Lai Mei De Burwa Ye Droge Nam Dai Shen De Je Bar Yo. To the lamas who possess the three kayas, I offer altar in order the secret offerings. With my body, wealth, and all that is visible, please grant me the supreme realization and enlightenment. Son yun zo lam zo nam la, sen nai san son de yin ye jin ju, da li long ju nan ze yong ye la, la min jo ge ngu zhou zar de zo. Whatever merit I have gathered through prostrations, offerings, confession, rejoicing, beseeching, and praying, for the sake of enlightenment of all sentient beings, all these are dedicated. Tanzerwadan Jojen Yabadan Jisa Yerain Gorjen Zorwaye Gewai Junze Dagi Jezaba Tamje Zobe Zanjo Zerngwo Onguru Rena Mendala Benza Menga Samandra Zawarena Zamaye Aho. Equal refuge, enemy of the world. Your fame provides the 3,000 words. You are the victor of Arjadara, widow adopted. I bow at the feet of Father Jiktin Songun. Continually I thank with no one but you. Compassionate one, grant your blessings. Dispel darkness that surrounds my heart. Please bless me so that I can realize and liberate nature of the mind. Cham den je dom men zam len jin chak pe tong som yong la cha tum me jarwa dor jen chang han je den gong be sha lan de da de sam je ju le mi sin je lo je du je jin nyen ge men ba zar ne jang Semje dara da do bara zinji lo. Go to the Manjushri prayer. His wisdom is brilliant like the sun, free of the clouds of two worlds, and perceive the various steps of knowledge in the true nature. For this reason, he holds the wisdom text at his heart. He has compassion for all beings who are suffering from the darkness of ignorance in the prison of samsara, as a father for only the son. Like a thunderclaps, he wakens those who are sleeping in ignorance and losing the chant of karma through the 60 branch of Haramane speech. He wears the wisdom silver to cast settling of suffering and to dispel the darkness of confusion. And the Bodhisattva form, he is pure from beginningless time, fully accomplished in the 10 levels and perfect in the body of all knowledge. Supplicate you, Manjushri, adorned by the 112 sons of Buddha, to dispel darkness of my ignorance. Om Arapatsanade, 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 Om Arapatsanade. Om Arapatsanade, Om Wangeshoram, 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 you who are the perfect youthful body, whose flame of wisdom blazes and dispel the darkness of worldly ignorance, are posted before you in the praise to Manjushri. Yun Kulen Changwa Po Yishi Dome Radambar Yeden Demo Mensarwa Jambar Yangla Sansar Do. Please stand aware of the Dharma of the two vehicles and the combination according to disposition, and likewise the mental capacity of sentient beings. Semje nomje zombodang lo ye se dai che da war che jun de mon de ba ye che jang go lo gor do zo.
또 대신바 탐지 좀 받는 먹어서 나오지. 이지가 참사로 답방도 찾아야 되는 저도 돈은 조절봐 진짜 치라삼나로 돈에 조절 하면 또 라파다라 라데고 생각나 봐요. 이게 얘들어야 장사 도지자에 되려나 봐봐 내가 시작가 뭐 아무도 먼저 완전 가지러 만나서 와데 오면 시기 옆으로네 저거 아 생각도 못해서 되면 답을라면서서 수습동안 전자 조지치 양성면 먼저 예라서 생기도 전혀서 단지라 담바 조지는 것도 다초로는 많은데 일단 세비 빠졌나 마사지바가 세비 빠졌어 뭐요래 제일에 참이 신기 요래 하고 요래 이 장들이양 산대에 특히 가사보지나 나다 뭐시바 담지라 대다 팽게래 되네 이랑게양 남용거들이양 대서지 삼박은 진이 대다 모두시나 산들이 대대를 주도라마 대쇼의 인지 끝났더니 삼지시바티 다담는 게 치니까 되네요. 무조건 와가 되더라. 짜치보디 가라가로 얘기를 삼지 지요래 짜치보이 맞아 시요래 가리게 시요래 되는들이 탐치 주탐이 시합요래 시합거지 시합다 니게 원래 시합요래 별로 저도 이게 나오더니나 이 저도 가다가 차도 받아 니게 잡으러 삼바다 니게 대다고 이렇게 삼바다 니게 이제 땅 들어가게 강시지 저기 다시 들래.
So my friends, and so today I'm going to speak about the four immeasurables according to how it is explained in the Buddhist teachings. And of course, you all know about that. You've heard about the four immeasurables. But still, for people like myself who have not much learning, maybe things are not completely entirely clear. So I'm just going to explain it to just clarify it a little bit. And so what is love or loving kindness? What's its characteristic? So this is what I would like to talk about today for a little bit. And so this term love is a quality that is treasured anywhere in the world, also in science, for example, or any kind of field of knowledge. We always encounter this word love. And that's because everyone understands this to be a very precious quality. Everybody knows that. And the reason why everybody knows that is because everyone possesses wisdom. And so there's wisdom and there's compassion. If you have compassion, then wisdom will arise. And so this compassion or love and compassion is a quality of the mind that is all over, it's everywhere, all pervasive. And so now today I'm going to speak about how we can bring this love, incorporate love and compassion into our own mind. So I'm going to speak about that to the best of my abilities. And again, Dashidelek.
다다다다를 고조선지 가담으로 동마차다도 좋아하는 애들이 생각된 데를 지나 좀 나와지니 치들들이 좀 다단 잠불랭 되나더니 이제 함되나 고조선지가 자네들이 상제의 송화리 상제의 취송화리 출력된 송화리 얘들은 고조선송 가리 공부하래들은 수능이 듣긴 뭐지 매들이 쉽지 탐지게들이 로지 못해봐 난디기 좋아한 거 남성들이 잡아다 이제 내가 참아서 봐. 이 잡아다 이제 내가 찾기도 하장 꿀보이마 디스는 군초스인데 이 군초스는 디니들이 다른 거죠. 사바다 이제 요래 대대라다다지 저당 사지 주당 게 되는 순종은 상계의 대량도 용 담보상 족초의 특지성 토마미반에들이 레타버지 언납자마자 버지 언납자가들이 담보상 족초의 특지성데 이 족사들이 남의 상계 나타다 당도 통치스죠 봐 요래 고요래 제치면 암조는 고요래지 얘네들이 무슨 냠서 용들이라는 게 냠서를 백감이 그래서다 단지 차공로 차소면 내가 지라 용토면 다 주고 차소면 그리고 그 남자들 같으니 초등만 차로는 연로로 되려면 단지 차롱 그 배에 삼티에 조지 배에 되면 초등처럼 이제 배에 돼요.
So there's the three jewels in this world, and so yesterday recently we practiced the Buddha Shakyamuni sadhana, and in that sadhana it says that in the world the treasure like enlightened activities of the Buddha like have may they pervade because these activities or the presence of the Buddha in the world is extremely rare. And that's why we speak about the three jewels as the three rare and precious ones, supreme ones. So the three jewels are the Buddha, and from the Buddha appeared the Dharma, and from the Dharma appeared the Sangha. And so why is it that we call them rare? Why are the three jewels rare? Because rare means it refers to what is really rare is the causes of merit. People, beings do not really are not really able to find merit or to accumulate, may find it, but they can't accumulate merit. They can't really apply merit. And the reason they can't apply it is because they're completely tied up by self-grasping. Because they're tied up by self-grasping, they are unable to connect with love and compassion in their hearts. And so that is why, because of this connection is to love and compassion is so difficult. They can't really incorporate that into their mind. That's why we say it is rare. The three jewels are rare. It is rare for us to cultivate true love and compassion in our hearts. And so now the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. So first the Buddha appeared in the world. And when the Buddha appeared, he first gave rise to the mind of bodhicitta. And then for a long time, he accumulated merit and he purified obscurations. In his life stories, we can read about how he took on 500 pure and 500 impure lifetimes. So we all know about it, we've heard about that. And we always hear about love. We're fully aware of it. But then when it comes to actually doing it, actually practicing it, it's different because when it comes to practicing it, our mind solidifies again and it becomes like an ice block. So that is why that prevents us. It hinders us from ever really loving. And so the reason why we are unable to love is because our self-clinging is too strong. It's just like we are in this nightlight state. At night, it gets cold and the water freezes into ice. But what it really needs is warmth. Love, loving kindness is like the warmth, and self-grasping is like an ice block. We always say that. It's like water and ice. So,
다디 중심으로 되는 다다 타마들이 랑게체도 지티게 칸도 나디 조치를 다다 토마니 좀 요래 다들 좀 다음에 받아서 송아송 드리게 뭐 데려드리지 다디 다지님 맞아 빠지 동담을 대마 동담을 다지님 맞아 빠 그것도 대마 다지니 좀 정지들이 다진지 맞이랑지 차디 요래 그래서 차디 오는 이제 강연이들이 산지 좀 뒤지거든요. 심지는 산지 혼자 로를 좀 해서 심지에 샘들이 샘을 관계랑 이나선 거요래. 샘지들이 샘지랑 이나 갔다가 샘을 하고서는 샘들까지 사자시 보고서 거요래. 샘도 똥만이라 남지 이요 말에 나갔다가 그랬지. 대야 똥바 똥장만 이거 쌀을한지 똥만한지 쌀 똥순 욕도 되더라. 주가 돌리 장비에 장을 대다가 내려용 대상도 좋다고 대라가 거도 따대는 들이다 생코랑이지 쌀 똥이지 뭐지 하도 그렇고 요래 생문에로 쳤다 깨다가 오 생물이들 다 너감 이 나도 갑자기 다 얘가 말에 나가라 니요 말때 따와 때문에 고학생 고고서나 대회는 나 미장 나다까지 들어오더래 들이다다대 다음에 말아 나도 저 박차를 뛰니 들이다다 나지니 저 대로 나 때렸더니 유몽 나저 유몽가 쪽 때렸더니 들이다 내가 뒤 좀비 기직 삼바라서 들이고 왔다 들이들 소리선 쪽 미성선 쪽 들이던 걸 도와줘도 되게 저성대 저성아들이 따지 좋지 미성선대 능내제 능은 톨성은 저거 능해서 탑지 능해라고 이래 사지 지요래 지인데 감이들 나지 이들이 송아대 지 이들이 강게 죽을 좋은 이제 경지 그 당시에 바로 와서 소원을 나가다 얘기장 때마다 오직 로를 좀 해줘 생활을 나가다 얘기장 들이들 니디죠 니디들 되는 것보다 지만 시네 들이 레디 박차라 되네 내가 들이지 니만 저런게 들이다 다른 좋아 좋죠요래서 대형 타서고 살아요 말이 라고 레다 박차도 좋은 양가서 우리들 이봐요 말이 되고 좀 그래 좀 코가 좀 그러지 코가 남이 점이랑지 다래지 과장만 해서 코가도 하고도 코가도 좀 그래 저 사지게 동남대 많이 되다가 하고 송세
Yeah. So, and I was mentioning the 37 Bodhisattva practices, and this is really what I know. Even within the 37 practices, there are maybe a few things that I'm not perfectly know. But the 37 practices are really all I know. And there is one very important verse in there, and it says that all suffering without exception comes from wishing for one's own happiness. So what people don't understand is the fault of self-grasping. And because they cannot see that fault in themselves, they are unable to see the good qualities in others. So we always speak about it, and we know that in a way we know that that self-grasping is a great fault, but then still we only consider ourselves as most important, because this is what has obscured our mind since beginningless time. We believe in a self that does not actually exist. So ultimately there is actually no self. Only on the relative level there appears to be the separation between self and others. And so therefore on the relative level, we have no choice but also look after ourselves. But the Buddha had said, all beings are actually Buddhas. They are only obscured by adventitious stains. So what the Buddha really taught here is the nature of the mind. He said that all sentient beings are like space. Their mind is like space. When you know this mind, when you realize it, this seeing is called Mahamudra. And within this empty mind that is like space, there is no self and no other. So it is empty, but it is not only empty. It is also very clear. It is clear and empty. And that nature is called the Dharmakaya Vajradhara. And within that Dharmakaya, all the enlightened qualities are perfected. And so even on the relative level, we can still understand the clear and empty nature of the mind. We just have to look at our mind. When you look at your mind, just try to see, is there a self? You will not be able to find one. There is no self. It is just like space. And that's something you can get at just by understanding it. So even though there is no real self, we perceive a self. And because of that, we accumulate karma. So we form habitual patterns. And these habitual patterns are what create this perception of self and other. And then from that arise the other 5 or 6 afflictive emotions. And as a result of that, the entire world appears to possess a concrete, true existence. So it is said that karma, cause and effect is the momentary natural manifestations of one's inner thoughts. And so as a result of one's own thoughts, sometimes we find ourselves in the 3 higher realms, sometimes in the 3 lower realms. But wherever we go, there's only suffering. In the lower realms, there's the suffering of suffering. In the higher realms, there's the suffering of change. But everything has the nature of suffering. And this is what the Buddha had realized. And the Buddha realized that from this misperception of a self, the perception of self and other arises. Also in the 37 Bodhisattva practices, it says in the beginning, they have realized that all phenomena neither come nor go. So that is like space. Space doesn't come and go. That is what the Buddhas have realized. And even though this is our true nature, we are obscured by adventitious stains. And that is the grasping at a dualistic existence. We believe that things possess a true concrete existence. And because this is how we see things, we accumulate karma. We deepen the karmic imprints in our mind. And things appear like they are real, just like the rays of the sun, actually all being part of one, but appearing as separate. And that is how we perceive the 6 realms of samsara. On the ultimate level, all of this does not actually exist. It is just because we accumulate karma and karmic imprints. But whenever these are purified, we see that all of these various appearances lack any inherent existence. And this is how we then realize the illusory nature of samsara. The Buddhas have said that samsara is like an illusion and everything is selfless. There is no self. When you see how things really are, when you see that there is no self, you will begin to see everything as illusory. And so this is the ultimate truth that the Buddha had realized.
Then Kova Jama Tavasaya Kara, same Koran Churchiata Pasha may pay na. Then Koa the Rana and New Batogo, the lake, Karesa, the Tileta, what the Jevatri, Chumaza, Trita, Rang Million Guri. The lady means any means something the Lord or our then the sticking what did it, baby, that the tire we are. That thing, Koa Matongo part of the job sword, she said, Koa Matongo part of the Sang Madia, but the same day she book on a Jisha, but it was nearly the city. They come dominion on the age of the Gores. I don't know, Madu was in the woman, the age of the Gores. They let that David Judge, sometimes I think Moran, they were the David just of the merchant. So. Gari Larry so the job was how the Jim Pinson and home. The Jim Lord, Chatham Yona, the Dandy, the Pachung the Loyore. Dandy, Chatham Chili, Jim Lord, the Chung the Lo. 들이 탑도대로 차를 차와담들이 저거 남쪽들이 저 차를 차요 나디디 오래 되겠다 동해 용거 요래 나디 말에 받았래 요래 배라 대회들이 동해 말에 나대는 나디 좋아래 들이 다 저거 루게 줄람 다다다 좋아네 저 로가로 삼는 내 저때 대동리마 소리를 대동리마서 소리스나 미송송 동해에서 대답지 담에야 보하 고요를 등한 담을이들이 사지가 같이 보하 대답 고요를 대 고나 대는 something 그 소리 something 오 다다 무슨 통주제 좀 담을이는 다다다 담을이는 대동이 요래 대동이 요래 사자 가시를 동해에서 알면 말이요래 대 강래들 오다 단디를 대게 유모시 당도 차도디래 서울 가래들 다 동네에 저다 저거지 단디는 디니 다디 용을 그랬지 무슨 소리지 봐 띠기로 나나 공기 나나 치고지 오서는 그리지는 각도도 너 그래 띠좀 탈디 너 이는 너 봤다마디 저기 다시 당에 뱉는 데랑 미는 걸 하고 요 말이 대면 레랑 미는 것에 하고나 너 그게 말 나지 님에베 랑랑 샤제 바나지 랑랑 샤제 바나지면 이 야지니 말답에 랑 샤제를 랑나요 그래서 두브레트 되는 콜버티 하버리 두브레 다 점들이 때문에 몇십 시도 못 봐서 레이저들 찾아서 하모라 들이 다 지지고 요래 대회를 다 대회는 다 우보 끝좀 점들로 하면 봐 그것도 당고서 우보 트럭대 봐 그래서 노아를 너무 좋죠 요래 들이 다 들이 동네는 이제 또 자트 방거래 이제 대화다 대회 다 상세래 삼지 최종가리로 삼지 최보로 사지지 사족서가 사서버려 대리 최원은 또 당고 대만 통로 다 차지고 막 도고요래 대리 삼지 총총들 열어라 속차 대당 당의 열들이 그래서 속차 차전 차와 탐지를 때나 되게 가도도 보서 옆대라서 와서지 이도 멍지요래 대답지도 열탐지 적강에서 웃으면 오 대주를 삼지를 내주지 서바티 저들이甚至속자까지 지고 이요 보다 일하고 대답지 대고 그러는데 담배는 이도 뭐 탐지 랑샘세 열 가래는 대답지 삼지가랑 이리 송아래 삼지가 용띠도 하고 삼지 용띠 산쪽에서 직주를 제대로면 별로 잡지도 못한 뜻에서 차타게 들이 있다고 말해서 상하게 봐라 내가 소리에 대한 톱 소리는 하다 말을 뒤톱 들이 상쪽에 대해서 망들로 이야기해놓는 들이 사쪽 상제고 막 통도를 내가 배워다 다톡 대화 어떻게 답을 주질 않는데 주가리에다 삼지리 삼지리 제일 망는 거 들이 탁탁들이 사바 세배 받게들이 다들 상지 고망 때문에 삼바 세배 받게 그래 단지 오메가 차요래 오래 나기지 로를 매바 차를 되고 또 상쪽 세서 이 세분은 때는 오나 마상 받으니 딱발 생기다 별라미 대인서 받아 이 총총을 공고를 맞았어 받으니 랍상태 토야요 말이 그 삼바 세배 받아도 대랑의 당고 사바가 요거 띠지하고 레이저랑의 줄 가와도 사바가래 문제 그 문제들 다들 속여들 가려 주박 쏜 거야 삼바가 띠리 째와래 삼바가 띠리 얘기해서 그거래 삼바를 맞띠리 얘기요래 삼바가 띠리 얘기에 대해서 상조고 세배에 되는 대해서 사무당을 되는 삼바당 제들이 삼행에 대진 문제, 또 삼아된 문제, 이 얘기된 문제, 이 새 연락들이 남 생물들이 대진 문제를 기초보다 없대.
So samsara is like an illusion. When you say that to someone, they might feel that it's not really an illusion because I can actually see things. I have a real physical body and I actually suffer. There's a lot of suffering. How is that an illusion? So people have some doubts about that statement. However, even though everything is like an illusion and the mind is beyond birth and death, there's still karma, and whatever karma is created will ripen. Even though you possess Buddha nature, you may wander in samsara for thousands of years. But because there is Buddha nature, whenever this karma comes to an end, Buddha nature in the end will again be liberated. So it is because of karma and karmic imprints that we wander in samsara, even though samsara is empty. The karmic imprints are actually empty. But until we attain enlightenment, we follow karma. And so even though Buddha nature is beyond birth and death, temporarily we experience suffering. So if you don't want to experience suffering, you need to understand karma. And this is the prayer of all the Buddhas. They have said that may beings have happiness and the causes of happiness. And that is explained in the 37 practices. The perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind. If you have an altruistic mind, self-grasping will naturally diminish. But the stronger your self-grasping, the more your altruism, the more your love will diminish. And in the end, your love becomes so small that the marriage diminishes, and when beings even take on a very small body, a small form, and experience more and more suffering. So in brief, for as long as there is self-grasping, there will be suffering. All suffering without exception comes from wishing for one's own happiness. So whether it is about our own body or our environment, wherever we are in the 6 realms of samsara, there's always suffering. And so in this world here, we experience both happiness and suffering. In the lower realms, we only experience suffering, suffering upon suffering. And anyways, this is something that you all know about, you all have heard about, you know about that well. And you know about that because the Buddha's words have spread in the world, so people can understand that. So then really think about it. Now we see this world and it appears as a truly existing like world, a concrete world. And in this world that we perceive as real, there is suffering and there is happiness. If you look around, there are some places in the world where there is much more suffering than happiness. There is so much misery in the world. And all of this comes from self-grasping. And because we grasp at a self, we develop hatred and jealousy. And these are the seeds for all of our suffering, the causes for all of our suffering. And so this is something we can actually see unfolding in this world. It is because we think about ourselves, me, and then we harm others so we can get what I want. In the end, however, this will only come back to the one who harmed somebody else, because they keep with them that seed of hatred within their minds, and that will ripen upon themselves. And that is something that people don't understand. They don't understand that whatever karma they create, it ripens on themselves. If they would know that, they wouldn't do all kinds of things. When we harm others, it is just like, for example, you're biting in your own hand, you're eating your own flesh, not knowing that it's your own hand. Not knowing that biting into your own flesh actually hurts yourself. The reason why I'm hurting others is like that is because self and others are inseparable. We are like one, and therefore harming others is like harming yourself. And this is how karma comes around. It is said that beings do not know interdependence of cause and effect. They are blind, they are ignorant as to what is to be known. And because they don't know, they're ignorant, many faults come from that. So on the relative level, karma is unfailing. And on the relative level, things appear to possess a true existence. There is the appearance of the 6 realms. And therefore, there is suffering. And no one wants to suffer. And if you don't want to suffer, you have to avoid the cause of suffering. You have to create a cause of happiness, which is a mind of love. As much as you can. If you develop great love, you will become a bodhisattva or even attain enlightenment. But if you even have a little bit of love, like an animal has some love, that already is very precious. Because if you look in the animal realm, for example, there are some animals who are different. They're beautiful like birds. They have a beautiful color and shape and a voice, and people like them. And whatever makes a beautiful appearance, anything that appears as something beautiful, pleasing, we like, comes from love. Even the slightest love. Anything, even if it is a mental arising, whether it is something arising in the mind or in our outer environment, anything that is good and beautiful and nice is a result of love. It's a quality of love, and that is what we have to recognize. And so this is how we first develop relative bodhicitta, when we recognize that. And when that arises in your mind and you then take the bodhisattva vow just once in your life, it will stay with you from lifetime to lifetime until you attain enlightenment. It will never leave you, never give up on you. And temporarily you take birth in the higher realms as a god or a human, and then bodhicitta develops further until you attain enlightenment. Love is a cause of temporary benefit and ultimate happiness. And so that is what we call the path of the holy Dharma. The Dharma is love. It means Dharma practice means to increase your love until ultimately love becomes immeasurable love. And when that arises, you attain enlightenment. And that it means attaining enlightenment means you become free of self-grasping. There's just no more thought of myself. When there's no more thought of yourself, a relative bodhicitta has arisen. There's no thought of me or I. You just always think about others, other sentient beings. But this is something you have to habituate to, and starting from small. It's not something that will just instantly arise like that. Immeasurable love is something that is gradually developed. But to develop it, you first have to understand what it is. What is its quality? Where is it in the mind? And how is it? What is it? What is love? And then you have to know what is it that preserves or maintains love, and that is patience. So first, that there's this sense of kindness or kind of tenderness that arises, and from that arises love, and from that arises compassion. Then there is a compassion that is connected to love, and that is what then ultimately turns into bodhicitta. So first you have to recognize love. What is it? You have to know what it actually is, and then you have to understand what compassion is. And understand it by looking outside to various objects, or also inside, arising from within your own mind.
你这样的生活人就点了点的，让三代的男女之间也有来的。我说也就对着三代个人生活，三代个人间呢。 那你家把下来这些经验没做这些那说我当时说路差了你得在当时我生活人就定了三这个人间的也就对到这个人能觉得生气了的呢那个什么三这的有个告诉那个个人呢的三这让这个着急用了让着急用了的没了气的用了这的三这就不了这的中国的是吧就不就这三这个用的 能xem là thế là sân hữu gì việc đi cái sản thì dùng gì thì đi tao thì bây giờ giá khác chỉ bảo đó là sao bảo tao thì không sao thì cái dùng gì thì là cái sản thì chỉ thuộc cái rồi không 난 규제 섭지를 되는 나는 게 제대로 내 대독 참만 답을 가리 너희 말을 나도 용 삼제가 용 뛰는 따뜻다 로를 강을 송나디다 그러는 대화 중에 도봐 근데 갑자기 비용 용 뛰지 삼제 용 뛰 양들이 이 삼제의 짜치부리시 다디 스타를 가리 자거든 다디 길이 졸로 그래들이 싸도그 요 말이 제 싸고 달로 다 사지 좀 내제 가리지 다 세지가 동네지 거래지 이제 동네지 삼발에 좀은 인게 베리지 세누지 적디나 용디 되는 디 지송제 메토드 되는 철로 되지 다들 인게래 메토드를 세와 요베 다들 휴가를 메토드 요르다 되는 철로 되는 다들 인게래 대래들이 세지 게임 탐지를 되는 샘들은 은혜 속차도이나 대래들이 대답제 동네 초롱 거리 다도 게임 탐지를 되지 배제나 들이 뒤지리도 다 세지 탐지들 이 세지 속차고 내가 왜 되잖아 내 동네 요래 얘는 대도 하고는 들이 대래들이 다랑기 전부 차고 전부 잠바들 잠부를 차 요래 베네디 세여제대와나 롱바지 사바체보도 요나 도바 핀신 내가 제번서나 사바체보도 요나 디디갈 파도 디롱바니가 두고자 드림빈지 통배 내가 소와지리 사바데 삼데 사바데 맹게 사바가 맹이오래 데레들이 약합바라 터져 이렇게 터져 같이 요라들이 내기 체로 요래 그런 터져들이 하면 다다 다 오터들이 랑수수 나두고 때는 다 약합 족하잖아 나두고 진짜 소화자는 거래 오다 당진이 중게 당은이래 조금상이 이면서도 삼제진 탑톡 내가 배마다 탑톡 되었다 은혜래 다시 삼제 되게 정보도 다시 삼제 되가 망도 동거도 소리 로직이라 다 잡고 조선만 되게 다 내주려 다시 다 그래랑 줄을 다다다 로도는 봐요 로도는 봐요 공지 들이 은혜 습지 로가 동네에 촌나 동네에 강에서 철거라들 다디 소리 소문에 들이 이리 레드벨지 지지요 그래 들이 들이 사바까지 길라 이시지로 따라 들이사 삼제 줄에 길라 자공의 쇼물 쇼리에 쳤대 가사가 찾아오고 저거 두고래 들이 자공도 맞아 나 듣고는 수록과 추가되어 있는 용기 제답 그냥 줄 삼제미는 제가 송수게 제가 뱅기 얼마 같이 제가 같이 수시고 뱅기마다 같이 뱅기도 세월이 내려들이들이 남이 약하고 내가 레벨이 몇이 줄 삼제 요거 몇게 깨자 셰러라 내가 제러라 가르치는 특히나 페이마 랑라 대와 들이 이랑라 이지지 세진은 파피는 처리 지지 이 비트 삼제의 대화들이 되려고 잘은 띠띠보 야고 차거리 삼제의 매력가는 중상마들이 다되도록 나도 제대로 동네적으로 들이 가서 가라 싸우다 거라다 땅이 삼제의 선우 적이나 비트지 강을 차 야는 다 삼제의 자체 버려 삼제가 이 대화에서 띠들이 의지 오래지
And so when we look in the in the outer world, well, there's the universe and there's the beings within the universe, and so there we need to discern between in this world. We need to be able to discern between love and self-grasping. So to give an analogy, for example, a loving mind is like a meadow in the summertime. In the summertime, it rains and the weather is unpleasant and many flowers grow everywhere and trees grow. And so there's a beautiful environment in the summertime. And the mind of a sentient being with great love is just like, is like that. It's very, very beautiful and at ease and relaxed. So then also a person who possesses great love, then whatever they do, they will be happy. For example, if you have a loving friend that you live with, or even if you don't have a human companion, if you have a dog, for example, that dog will be very happy next to you. So that is a sign that you possess great love, that people are happy, they want to be in your presence. That's a quality of love. And so this is something we can see just in the normal, ordinary in the world, because the quality of love is that that people want to like be with that person, or even between countries in a larger scale. When you think about the quality of love, a country will get along, and there will be peace and cooperation between countries. If it is between sentient beings, there will be peace and harmony between sentient beings. And then on the other hand, as we said, all suffering comes from wishing for one's own happiness. So recognize that difference between what happens when you love or when you cling to a self. Wherever you go in the 6 realms in this world, any happiness, anything good that you find comes from love. And so if you keep this in mind all the time, you will recognize love is so important. This is what I need. And then in order to have love, what is it that you need to be careful about? So the problem is that when we encounter situation or conditions where we then are unable to keep our mind of love. And so what we need to do in this case is we need to remember the suffering of others, the suffering of sentient beings. Then a sense of like this tenderness, this kindness will arise. And from that, a care, a love arises, and from that compassion arises. For example, another example, when we grow a flower, we treat it with great gentleness. We are very gentle with the flower. We look after it, we pour water into it, we are very gentle with it, because we feel care, love for that flower. We don't want to hurt it. Yes, that is compassion. So when the mind really enters into this way of seeing things, then you will begin to feel, for example, how is somebody else feeling? You will begin to treat your surroundings with great gentleness, and just naturally, even if it's not people, but it begins with actually inanimate outer objects, outer things like flowers and so on. You begin to become very gentle, and then it also becomes projected to others, and then you begin to feel, oh, that person is suffering. And so you feel that because of this gentleness, and this term gentleness is actually something that is part of the word loving kindness. We call it loving kindness, or Jampa in Tibetan. And so Samba actually means like being very gentle and kind. So you feel somebody else's suffering. Or between countries, when they're very gentle or kind to each other, then there will be cooperation, and they will live in harmony. There will be a mutual harmony between different countries, and love will increase. And on the other hand, however, when people only think about themselves and they're not gentle and kind with others, then that will lead to disharmony, and that is why there is a lot of conflict and wars in the world. It is all the fault of self-grasping. So ultimately, we just need a mind of love. That is the temporary benefit and the ultimate happiness. And you just have to recognize that and see that this is what I need to have. I need to improve my love. I need to follow the law of karma. I need to seek protection, refuge from the 3 jewels. And by thinking in this way, this is really where you then begin the path of practice, like practicing the 4 thoughts that turn the mind and so on. You begin to really see and feel the suffering of sentient beings in the 6 realms. And only when you see that will you know what is at the root of this suffering. At the root of this suffering is self-grasping. And when you see that, you will finally believe in karma. You will trust in karma. And you will essentially trust in love. And the more you trust in love, the more the ice block will melt. And when the ice block melts into water, water becomes all pervasive. So it is said in the teachings that so we, even though we understand the Dharma, we know about the qualities of love, we still hold on to the self. And then even our Dharma really becomes not very beneficial. So there's people who understand a lot about the Dharma, they're real the Dharma practitioners, but it's of not much benefit if they can't be kind and gentle to others. So then there's other people out in the world who treat others with much kindness. And so in any case, this leads to their own benefit and the happiness of others. So in brief, what we need to understand is we need to trust or believe in the quality of love, and then we need to hold on to it so it becomes stable and firm. And we need to recognize that all faults, all mistakes come from self-grasping. So this is something we can see all over the place in the outer world and within our own mind. In any kind of circumstance, there's an opportunity to recognize the preciousness, the importance of love.
그래서 다 카타야들 초바자 가사가 초바자고 가리 로마 가시게 오다 고조로도 매침보도 고소 고초스고 잡다동지 대라고 로도 제소 대노르소 고초스고 잡다 저리 아마 접제다 때르라도 스바가제다 레라도 숨말에 레니바데사 타나 사제기한테 사가 캡그 말에 사제기 준비해 송요래 Jumble tinity than Zamberlini, Zamlin Chokin, Tini, Lil Natami, Passion of Tongemiva, Lord Jacala, dates only the Zamblin Mimabo, Sheki Ore. Date of the Mango Yorin, Dublin, Dungy, Chicha, maybe, Lumba, Jacaban Dragon Marie, Lumba Lumban Dragon Marie, Matan Chicken and Metin and his same, Lalissim of Dongela, Lassim, Deva, they told Yambo Yogabari. 대통령 라는 레게 지선 장용거를 레게 지선 장용을 사지게 레좀 레송을 좀리 냠도 랑니 따다 내가 통제도 그때 좀리 냠도 랑니 지양마 정게 이제 마땅오나 따다다 속고 차대요 그랬지 지양마 때문에 그만 잘 줘봐고 자고요 사지게 레가 가래지는 남로 메와 빼샤면 소방 칸바야 메바 사지를 쓰는 잡을 놓고 자들이 빼샤요 그래 강이 용거지 다 산지고 점마서 로조지 저처럼 되는 물리서 삼지 용의 점마 동거래 그러게 경영을 말이 맞게 그래 삼지 용의 말은 봤다는 거 말이야 강피피도 그래 삼지 용의 점마 요래 삼지 용의 저처럼 요래 삼지 용의 조바 요래 서낭랑게 고 가래는 대체 다 강에 대해서 소문들이 조바 거로 코로나 조바 요래 Jimba, Chotam Zuba, some to some take a Yontina song or a. There are so many Melitonatini, Chotamlatini to Melu what to talk already. Oh, Zuba did a draw zombo, donzi, but Serumbo, there's a talk already. Yeah. 3D Chotamini or Zuba, Jimba, Chotam Zuba. 저처럼은 물이 집안한테는 롱조 조바한테는 뭐 동지고 대선 토리 용지 있으면 이제 맞처럼 조바스들 타고 요래 내려게도 sab들이 시합을 이제 신기용 상방은 인기를 시합이야 제요래 시합이야 타고로 sab들이 시합이야 타지고 자고 요래 랑기게 타고 요래 대송사고 소나한테 싸드는 sab들이 요디 띠를 되다가 소나를 해서 대답된 남을 때나 mình nề để tập gì ô khó chia mà mình đồng đức mà gì có rễ đi luôn là tham mà rễ đi ô khó đồng gì một chỗ rồi khó chơi rồi ô khó giúp bạn dùng đi rễ đi这上这用地里，这怕谁人了地里地里上了当然，这上这用地那个生存有过来的。
I mean, so nowadays there's a lot of conflict in the world. There's wars all over, and some disciples actually have recently said that they're all suffering so much. The 3 jewels didn't protect them, so then they begin to develop some doubts, and that's actually a mistaken way of thinking, because it is said, if you wish to know what you did in the past, look at your present body. If you wish to know where you will go next, look at your present actions. Now, so if we have accumulated negative karma, no matter what karma we have accumulated, we have to experience the results. And even the Buddha himself cannot do anything about it. The Buddha himself told us that he can show us that path, he can teach us karma. But once karma is created, we have to experience the result. And if it is not created, we will not experience the results. For example, in the past, there have been world wars, and still some people remained completely unaffected. Some people did not experience any physical suffering, nor mental suffering. And they are almost 100 years old and they're still alive. There's many people like that. So there are some people that despite all of the misery experienced in the world, some people remain completely unaffected. There's some people that find themselves in a country where there is no war. Or even within one country, not everyone is the same. Even in a happy country, there are some people who are happy and some people who suffer. Not everyone is the same, because we follow our own personal karma. That is why the Buddha said it's so important to understand karma. So the Buddha therefore taught practice the paramitas. For example, in a previous life, if you have practiced generosity, you will find wealth now in this life. You will have no financial difficulty, for example. And there are some people who never find a job, who have no money, who would have no house and so on. And that is because they have not practiced generosity in previous lives. It's because of stinginess. Then there's other people who have so much money, they could help the entire world. So that all comes from generosity. Or, for example, you found a precious human body because of being disciplined, ethical discipline. So it all comes actually from love. And this is what we need to recognize. If you are generous, if you give something to others, it's because of love. If you practice ethical discipline, if you don't harm somebody else, it's because of love. And also the paramita of patience, because you love others, you are patient with them. So no matter what happens, either it's in the outer world or in our personal lives, even if we encounter some problems and difficulties with people, if you have patience, you're not getting angry at them. And so these qualities of generosity or practices of generosity, discipline, and patience are the practices that lead to all happiness in the higher realms. So again, because of generosity, the quality you will find is wealth. And because of ethical discipline, you will find a precious human body. If you practice patience, as a result, you will have harmonious friendships, you will have a beautiful appearance, and you will experience a long life. So all the good qualities of the higher realms, all the happiness comes really from love. And from that comes compassion, and from that comes wisdom. It is when we speak about accumulating merit, what we are accumulating is really love. All these practices that we do, they all come from love, essentially. For example, when you look around and you see someone, for example, a person who is never sick, and then you can think that, okay, he's never sick because in a previous life he did not abuse or harm others. Or if you see somebody where you feel like, oh, he has a really beautiful face and he has many friends. Oh, that's because he has been loving and kind to others in a past life. And so on. So this is how you should kind of apply your understanding of the parameters. So.
오 저다 삼대를 되네들이 고속에 레사불레레 오게 뭐 땅대 집이 가왔다 되지 되라도 저대 오 저산 속셈 맞도 뭐 찍자고 말이지 그래 내가 좀 우리다 삼대리 되들이 제가 그때 차용을 오 삼대리 그리 되는 락파들이 이제 민송스는 똥이야 적게 빠는 삼적 빠는 똥송이요 그래 이제 계속오게 레사나들이 사자바 사축자바는 야바나 똥송래 야바나 똥그래 사제까리 똥을까리리 오나 야바를 타고 저 모남자게 정도서 나빠 사제바 저렇까리 야바를 타고 야바를 맞아오거든 탈다까리 따사축자바 타고 요래지 탈비 까리 사지 좀 되는데 대부분 니지지 참나 지네들이 공 말아 고로라는 거라들이 이 한국 잡디 중국들이 공 샘플이 야와 자주 고로 제송아 제들이 제바타들이 공유를 상쪽 샘들이 요래요나 이 야와 자주 고로들이 강정화들 도와를 줬지 강조화들 정말 줬지 때문에 나가 그 자자 야와 자주 고로 다들 강에 공주의 야성기 네 말아들이 묘제베 리발레티 오탄게 말이 무세서 남사자죠 걸로 공고소 소리요리 콜린 코마타도 공가래서 오딴 잡을링들이 다 섬지선냐 말아들이 놓았다니 파말라 섬지니 망보요리 자체 섬지들은 제요리 대콩이 예비로 대탐지는 이제 탐지 동네에 연구 요리서 들이자주 걸어 나왔다. 남산코 탑송에서 사지 좀 되는 저 장을 그는 요리 남산로 전 대들 좀쟁이서 또 배대다고 요리 대도 대 강을 되지 가래들 줄고 이제 동네에서 나라 동네도 삼는 그 홀로 딱바로 대고 나한테 맞지 바로 대게 요리 나매 들을 남산 나매가 차서 실제 상태에서들이 홀로서 내실 용을 상속세들이 상속세만 야와는 게 다들 벌렁다 받아도 계속 배대도 로지대도 요래 상속세고 이제 민송스를 제나요 상속세들은 나와에 받이고 그다음에 이제 같이 제는 뒤 초들이 루통거 요 말에 그 강을 루통거 요 말에 이제 대식 용거지 요래 대를 마땅해 되나 지다 상속세는 대사로 대들이 제자비도 맞게 기서는 다속 산재고 마마 독받데 리상그 말에서 그래 코아바 동받아서 먼저 그 대다래 배대다래 사속세도 예빈을 놓으나 그치 들으는 거 동네에서 대회도 다 나타나게 올라 오 십지답게 다고 도는 잠나 그치 나타되게 그럼도 잡듯이 그 빙을 나타고 서면 이봐 총거리 배대를 저는 들이다서 소고요래 내가 레미 오는 양 상속성 그때도 팽기요래지
And so it's not just about precious human beings, but even among the animals, for example, there's different kinds of animals. There's birds or cats and dogs. And even within one species, within one kind, some experience more happiness, some more suffering. For example, there are some animals that humans keep as pets and really care for them even better than for a human being. So those animals experience a lot of happiness, or well-being. And what is the cause of that? It is love. Because in a previous life, they have accumulated love. They have created the cause for that. So anything, any happiness, any well-being experienced by beings comes from this cause of love. There is no happiness that wouldn't come from bodhicitta. So recognize that it is really all goodness really comes from love, and this is the cause of all happiness. This is what I need. And then also Chikden Sumgön, he had said that so in terms of karma, he said that even if a bodhisattva on a 10th bhumi, they accumulate karma, they will go into the lower realms, such as hell. But even if they go into the lower realms, they will think of sentient beings. And normally we think, we make a prayer that may I not be born in hell, may I be free from hell. And so, like, there's one story from the time of when a previous life of the Buddha, before he became a Buddha. So a story of how the Buddha was born in hell and then was liberated from hell because of bodhicitta. So before that, he was a householder. He had a mother, and one time he got angry with his mother and he hit her over the head with a shoe. And that is a very negative karma, because it was his kind mother. So as a result of that, he was born in hell realm, where there were hot iron wheelbarrows. But the Buddha still had bodhicitta, even so that not the Buddha, but this bodhisattva still had bodhicitta. And so when he was there, he made a prayer that may all beings who experience such suffering become liberated from their suffering, because he reflected that there are many people in the world who harm their mothers, who abuse their mothers, who have evil thoughts against them, their mothers, and they all will experience immense suffering. So in this moment, when he realized that, he developed great compassion for all those sentient beings. So he himself was in hell, and there was this sound that appeared in the sky. May those who are born here instantly become liberated. And so then he made this great aspiration for sentient beings, and he was instantly liberated, and all the hell wheelbarrows dissolved in the sky. This is a story that is found in the Sutra of the Foolish and the Wise. Normally, it is us who don't want to suffer. We think that I'm suffering, I don't want to suffer. And for as long as we think this way, we will continue to suffer for as long as this I exists. But instead, if you suffer and not think of yourself, but think of others who also experience such suffering, then you will realize that there is actually no self, and your self-grasping diminishes. And so there are many stories like that of how great bodhisattvas have taken birth in hell, and instantaneously again became liberated because of great compassion or bodhicitta for sentient beings. So even if one is born in the lower realms, even if a bodhisattva is born in the lower realms, and if they have bodhicitta, that will not ever leave them. They will not abandon them. And that will never leave them because they possess Buddha nature. They will bring that with them. So So that is why when we say that when you take the Bodhisattva vow once, it will stay with you until you attain enlightenment. It will not forsake you. That is why we also say remain, and we pray, please remain until the end of samsara, because it is something that will always be there until the end of samsara. And if you recognize it in an instant, it dispels all of your suffering. For example, if you're sick, and think that may all beings who are that sick become healed. May they all get better. If you, for example, perform a ceremony, a puja, with this thought, it will actually be beneficial. But if you think that I'm performing a ceremony because I want to get better, may I get better from this disease, then the power is not so strong. And so we continue, of course, to temporarily experience the results of our own karma. But however much bodhicitta you possess, bodhicitta will be powerful in benefiting you. So now I've said a lot of things, and I just thought it would be good to explain that. However, it's also important that we know how to bring it all into a simple essence. So what is it really that I am speaking about? So any kind of happiness, large and small, even the highest state of enlightenment, even the slightest happiness we experience, all is a quality of love. The perfect Buddhas arise from the altruistic mind, and all suffering without exception comes from wishing for one's own happiness. Whatever suffering there is in the world, in the 6 realms of samsara, experienced by humans or animals, beings with a body or without a body, whatever suffering there is, it all comes from self-grasping. And how can we destroy self-grasping? Even an atomic bomb cannot destroy self-grasping. An atomic bomb could easily wipe out the world, but it cannot destroy self-grasping. For example, in the past, in human history, an atomic bomb was thrown onto Japan, and the radiation, the toxic radiation, then had a negative influence on the environment there, on the animals there, the people there, the fruits, anything that grew there. All of that became kind of polluted. So a lot of things kind of shifted in their shape and became really toxic. But still, self-grasping could not be destroyed. In the Golden Temple prayer, it says it is through the king of the view and bodhicitta that we can destroy self-grasping, and that's the only way. Nothing else can destroy self-grasping. So look at your mind when altruism, a wish to help others, arises. How does your mind feel when bodhicitta arises? So we want to put others before ourselves. So, for example, you have two people in a chair. You will have somebody else sit there. So if you have bodhicitta, you will be easily able to do that. Because you don't think about yourself. One example is the way a mother loves her child. Is the mother loves her child so much that she completely forgets about herself, and she only thinks about the child and never about herself. And therefore, she's able to do anything for the child. No matter how difficult it gets, the mother will never hate the child. She will always be patient. And the mother will be generous. The mother will not hurt the child. She will be patient. She always thinks of the child. She is diligent in looking after the child, and also as a result may develop wisdom. So just by looking after a child out of great love, she perfectly practices the 6 paramitas. So in brief, it all comes from love. It is said in the prayer, love is the only medicine for sentient beings. It is the only source of all happiness. So then for suffering, there are 100 different kinds of suffering. There's so much suffering in the world, but in the end, there's only one suffering, and that is, it is whatever we don't like, this feeling of dislike or unhappiness in the mind. And often when the self-grasping is too strong, people even commit suicide. They think that now they can bring an end to their suffering, but it doesn't bring an end to their suffering, because karma, the karmic imprints will continue on. It is just like you have taken like a picture of your action, which is now this imprint. And as long as this image is there, this imprint is there, you will relive it over and over again. For example, within just 1 hour, you have to die the same way over and over again. So and that will go on until there's no more self-grasping. Only when there is no more self-grasping will we become free from suffering. And that is just the nature of things. So what we need to understand is that it is only bodhicitta that can destroy self-grasping, and there is nothing else than the two kinds of bodhicitta that can destroy self-grasping. And in the Vajrakilaya practice, for example, this is the kila of bodhicitta.
Kashi shuyori ilang tila nga yo rumbu tseso bade te tiri bade doling chego, doling mambo chego tiri tatan dana yang kipo namba ji yogoro chwa kachi uro chwa tiri inchina lin tam nangu yore ta kare meba jango tiri chwa tiri nangu nangu doling che teta rela mare tiri tiri doling chego ki chimbo yore tiri te jisi tiri tatan kama yesho minso jaro kashi dile.
And so now I've said a few things, but you may think that, oh, it's Rinpoche has said so, but it's not just because I have said so, but it's actually also something that you have to discuss with each other.
So last part, I didn't hear the translator. Do you hear in the zone? Everyone here or not yet? So Rinpoche
Yes.
said here. The Rinpoche said he's going to take 20 minutes break. Do you hear that?
No, well, I did not hear that.
Okay, so the last section we didn't hear, and so taking short break, okay?
Hello. Yeah. He is coming back. He's just taking a break right now.
Okay, so now it works. Sorry, I was muted. I don't know if you can still hear me. Can you? Yes. All right.
Yes, we can hear you.
Sorry, happened now. So Rinpoche said that so you should not just leave it with Rinpoche said so and then that's it, but you also should discuss that with each other. And you have the two Khenpos here that you can ask questions and you can ask them any questions and they will answer to any of your questions without any difficulty. But you really have to discuss it and think it through. Is it really true what Rinpoche said or not? Not just listen to it, but also really discuss it with each other. It's important. So anyways, Rinpoche says, now we take a break for 20 minutes.
Khenpo,
Yes.
would you please talk about the stupa project going on a little bit?
Stupa project, yeah.
Yes.
So stupa GARCHEN enlightening Tara Stupa. So we try to build a GARCHEN Tara Stupa in the world. And we finish one in the Toulon. Some kind of starting, but not yet finishing. So still, we have the project, and I think we have a flyer somewhere that, I don't know, can you David share the flyer? Then I can explain it better. People can see clearly. It's
Amanda, you have the slide.
yeah, can you send that what's up? Then I can put in the screen share, I think better.
Lisa, please try now.
Oh,
Is
okay.
this the right one, Kambola?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay. Join the Tara Stupa mandala, and this is the project. And see here's the donation will support building of stupa in Tibet and in many other countries. So I'm working with it in Tibet stupa. This morning I'm also talking with them. It's 2 hours, and about this project about stupa. We are right now is very on the good path. So hopefully coming next year, so we can start next year. Then this stupa, we have this, it. So and many other countries for world peace. So this stupa, we birth and the reason is because for world peace, and also we create our own generate accumulation merit. Then each sponsor will receive one of the 100 crystal Tara to become part of this mandala of merit, similar to one bead joining the other beads. Okay, so can you move down a little bit? And the point is, when this year, when we was in the Arizona, we offering 100 crystal, 108 crystal, this Tara image statue is offering to the GARCHEN Rinpoche. So he give offering to beg, and he asks and give to all this stupa who donating. And then who get this Tara crystal is the same as like you get the mala beads, the mala beads. Mala has 108 beads. So you are become part of that in the mandala. So if you don't receive the Tara, this crystal, it's please you can join this part of that, and you can get and contact with is in Gadroma. And then the donation is also mentioned about here very clearly, and minimum is 500, and so you can go up, and it's someone due to financial situation. There also we offer 300 this crystal. So then they also have lots of message about GARCHEN Rinpoche, how important this Tara Stupa. So maybe this Tara Stupa is GARCHEN Rinpoche's his own vision. He birthed first in Arizona. So then noise I try to build wherever good connection source comes. So all this donation is we're going to support wherever the bird Tara Stupa and all the spiritual matter things. And many mantras, mandalas, and sculptures, and many all these important Dharma object going into each stupa. So we're going to provide that, use this donation. And then also donation going to use in Tibet stupa. So that's this most important just information. Then do you have any questions? No?
If you have the question, you can raise your hand so we can
Yeah. So those no questions, yeah?
Katsu raised her hand.
Hi,
Okay.
Rinpoche, where is gonna be the next stupa you're planning to build?
It's we have some areas, already some area is land ceremony blessing ready. So, until starting, so I don't really share the specific location. So some area already, we did a land ceremony. So then, included like maybe 3-4 already I did the land ceremonies, different areas.
Are you going to announce it before you build? Because I'm hoping to be there.
Yes.
Actually. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Linda.
Hi. I have a question about suicide. A friend just yesterday attempted to commit suicide. And I know generally the feeling, what Garchen Rinpoche was saying about how it doesn't bring an end to suffering. I just wondered if you could say a little more about that, please.
So that, yeah, Rinpoche share lots, instructions about that. So actually, and the main point is due to our own karma, and another is due to our, self-grasping, right?
Yes.
And that's why we have to generate love, compassion. So love, compassion really helps reduce our self-grasping. Then as long as arise love, compassion within our own mind, then in this world, no one going to suicide. So if love, compassion arise, so we're not going to create negative karma. And as long as love, compassion arise, everyone has a happy joy. So that's so far understand his teaching. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. So Illyria.
Thank you very much for taking my question. Thank you very much for clarifying about suicide. I also had a question there, but my second question was, Rinpoche repeated many times that suffering comes when we wish happiness just for ourselves, no? But I also, in my personal experience, due to a very high suffering, I also understood it. If I also don't develop self-compassion to myself, I will always feel as a victim, which is not exactly the way to go out from the suffering. So how we can understand that the real happiness comes from wishing happiness to all, and the others will be free from suffering, but at the same time keep self-compassion as a way of self-healing, because as long as we are wounded, also we belong to the suffering being somehow, no?
Yeah. Okay. So I think it's we do to ourselves grasping, and then even we want happiness, but create causes of suffering. So we don't know how to create causes of happiness because due to self-grasping and ignorance. The main point is we create love, compassion, or something, like kindness for others. So that really helps, I think, open our mind. And then that, feeling is positive. So positive feeling is into ourselves, and then that, release our suffering. So that's why the main point is, I think, first we have to open mind and think about others, think about others, create a kind for others. And then that bring to ourselves is a positive feeling. And then we recognize we are suffering. So sometimes, like, due to the ignorance, we don't recognize we are suffering. Due to self-grasping, we don't know we are suffering. We don't know how to love ourselves. We don't know how to love for others, I think. So that's the reason we generate a love of compassion, and that helps open mind, and then we really know how to create love, compassion ourselves, and we know how to love, compassion for others. So that bring the true happiness for ourselves and for others. So that's my understanding. Thank you. Then any questions? Okay, so money.
Yes, hello, thank you. I'm wondering, so if you have a lot of anger, then it's my understanding from the teachings that we need to wish happiness for others, have love and compassion for others. But how do you get rid of anger when you are just in a very, very negative space, I guess, is how do you achieve being able to give love and compassion when you can't see beyond your anger?
So you mean that we don't see our own anger, how to we can love, compassion for others, you mean?
Yeah, I'm
how to reduce anger.
Yeah, like I'm holding on to my anger and I can't see past that to give any love and compassion to anyone else. I can't get past the anger.
Yes.
How do we do that?
Yeah, it's that's not that easy. So that's why Rinpoche mentioned very clearly that we have self-grasping is so strong and many lifetimes habituate. So not easy to get rid of. And that's the reason. And another he's sharing, instruction is meditating, like looking to our own nature mind and recognize our own nature. So that's I think it's a very profound solution. And we look into our own nature, so we're seeing ourselves. And then that really helps we seeing our own anger too. So it's usually hard to recognize, of course, our affective emotions. And due to, it's like I mentioned about, due to our own self-grasping. And so this strong fixation to in the worldly level, everything is very hard to recognize our own problems and afflictive emotions. So then also due to this strong fixation and afflictive emotion, very hard to generate a love of compassion too. And that's the reason. So we have to bring a thing together is a method, love and compassion, and wisdom, and looking onto our own nature. And to bring this together is important, not separate. So that's why we, look to our own mind and meditate, seeing our own mind. And then that really helps arise love, compassion for others. And also that really recognize seeing our afflictive emotions. So that's the, my understand. Thank you. Control something?
Thank you.
Hello, and Tashi Delek, Kampo Rinpoche. Do you know of any practices or analytical meditations for developing a strong renunciation to worldly conceptual thinking? Thank you.
So yes, that's the four thoughts meditation. So we use four thoughts meditation. It is intellectual meditation. It really helps arise renunciation. Thank you. Next. Control Sona, I think. Control Sona.
Hi. I have when I first started practicing the Vajrayana, I did not understand Samaya, and I received a commitment to only practice Tumo under direct guidance. And I had a vision to go into retreat, and I've been in that retreat for a year. As I was doing retreat on Guru Yoga, I recognized the stories of the Mahasiddhas, like Marpa. There was a emanation of a Vajra in the sky, but he was told to instead listen to his guru. So now I recognize this to be wrong. So how may I purify this commitment?
I didn't understand clearly. So your question, sorry about.
Okay, I'll try to
So I think it's the point is anyway break the samaya and the vowels. Everything has a solution can repairing again, and use the law of compassion practice. So that's why I think we all know, so Rinpoche always share, important samaya is bodhicitta. So long as we create bodhicitta, then all the whatever we broken samaya is, I think, restoring again. Thank you.
Thank you.
There is one question on the chat, and they're asking, the question is, what is the difference between motivation and intention? Because it seems like motivation starts an action, but intention guides the action. I am unclear on the difference. Please explain.
So this word is like using in the Tibetan is, I think, same. We use that two different ways, like motivation and intention. I think it's the same words. I mean, the different words, same meaning. Thank you. And then Josephine.
Thank you, Venerable. My question is, I see this in the Garchen community. You familiar with this symbol, the Mani wheel? And then there's the mantra, liberation by touch around it.
Yeah.
I was wondering if I could learn the how to pronounce the syllables or in the circle or on the outer edge for the touch. You know, this one where it has this symbol right here, liberation by touch.
Okay, what is Asha Samaha? Okay, yes, Asha Samaha.
Oh yeah.
Asha Samaha.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would someone be able to type that in the chat? Is that okay to ask? Or is there somewhere online I can find it?
I think you can find online.
Okay, thank you so much. Oh,
Yeah,
thank you. Someone typed it in.
You ask Google. Google always have everything.
Thank you for your kindness. Thank you.
Google is a Dharmakaya. Lisa, please.
Hi, Kambola. How are you?
Yes, good. Yeah.
Okay. So what if we're doing good with this generation of bodhicitta, and then we see like somebody commit some kind of heinous crime or do something unspeakable or horrible, and we're not necessarily angry, but we get sad and maybe a little bit of anger arises. How do we get back on track? Do we just recognize that, okay, I'm going off track and do more practice and more meditation, or pray for
Yes.
this person?
So I think our in this kind of time, generation time, many people has these issues, I think, problems, because we see someone making something, you know, create problems themselves or others, and we seeing them, it's like we lose our patience. And then we think like Dharma practice not really working, not benefiting. So that's due to that, many people also, you know, give up spiritual path. And that is, of course, is obstacle and ignorance, our self-ignorance. We don't have the reason is because also we don't know how to generate love, compassion, truly love, compassion. So that also we have love, compassion, attachment, love, compassion, not unconditional love and compassion. So that's why we see someone create more negativity, activity, and some harming for others. We have to generate more love, compassion to that person. So that person creates so much negative karma. That's why it's, you know, we know the Buddha's story about ship captain. So ship captain, he didn't have angry to the person who going to kill 900 people. So he arise.
Ready for your patient in room 6.
Room 6, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Shall I come now or not yet?
Oh, hold on, let me check the screen. One moment.
So he arise compassion to the person, because Buddha's, I mean, the ship captain recognized he going to kill 900 people that created so much negative karma. So he didn't arise anger. He tried to the person. He arise love, compassion. Same, you know, right now we in the world who create more negative activity in the world. Rather than we hatred to that person, then we, you know, look to another way, you know, like create love, compassion to that person. So that I think really helps transform. Thank you.
Thank you, Kimbo.
Did you have a
Okay.
question? There's another question, Kimbo. I think she's got her physical hand raised.
Thanks. I was trying to get the recognize hand waving gesture up, but it didn't really work. So the challenge I'm having now is applying what I know about the Dharma to what's happening in the world. So I'm Jewish. I'm still devastated by the really horrific, brutal attacks by Hamas. I'm devastated by all the people also in Gaza dying. As part of my Tonglen practice, I took as a main focus one of the Hamas fighters who I heard a recording of where he was gleefully telling his parents he'd murdered 10 Jews, which I think helps my development of compassion. But then there's
Thank you, Mara.
in
Rinpoche
the
is already
okay. Oh,
and
sorry.
we don't have much time. So I think important is, of course, like we have this situation in the world, so much going on, and we just create a lot of compassion. And important is to control our own anger and emotion, and much ever we can create a lot of compassion. So that's really helps, I think. So use this energy right now. What going on? Use that energy, liberate ourselves. You know, that's most important. Use that energy and support for our practice. Thank you. Now we go back to Rinpoche. Thank you, Rinpoche. Tashi
다시 들래. 내가 고도해.
Last kodo Rinpoche. 다시 들래.
야, 다시 들래. 그지. 네, 다다다 삼바게 용디, 삼제게 용디, 삼바를 뒤에 제와 된제와 삼대인제와 돼. 마당 보는 듯이 이제 그래서 사제에 대 제하고 요래서 제하고 오늘 내 제가 탑 남아나서더니 탑만 까미 바대서 그 사제에 탑 기바대 강매들이 산쪽 셈제에 탑 산쪽 셈제 세배 줄이 제거를 카드 세실은 페인가 말에 락외 소지 요 말에 셈을 랩고래서 셈을 랩고들이 가리게 딱 당부 독서지 담제라 마다 보이는 듯이 좀 거래서 왕통의 왕순이 다른 까부 개와지 제일 정제더니 사제 탑을 개발하더니 셈기 봐도 셈기 봐들 셈기 담제를 마다 보이는 듯이 좀 거래서 이 가리스는 마다 보이는 듯이 좀 거래들 마다 보니 뛰어와지는 뛰다 마다 본다면 마다 보일 제와 요리 셈기 담는 라메 마다 보이는 듯이 지나 셈을 라상 샤투 그래 이게 마다 보니 못해 주는 마 저를 보고 같이 망 보고 저래요 말이 나라지랑 나 민생 제요를 빼대다래 대마도 요만해서 이 말이지 이 기와 기가 셈들었다고 시제 요가 매 셈을 시제 요 말이 기와를 기와 제로 호동문이 양만 따고 상제서 상제로 양을 독들이 고라자 그거래 새로 해야 배웠대 제시배 동소네 새로 시제 요 말이지 얘는 꼬라자 로가리다 니 동서는 참 따뜻 갖고 요래 드리디는 로아를 가는 손나더니 너게 마음 오면 내가 용용래서 하고서 다 되는 간이 손나 내가 도봤다 내가 제보되는 내가 제보된 상태 고방 돌려서 내가 제보하고 요래 대외 내가 당대 동안당 다르던 이렇게 다사 주서 마티와 제가 털었던 심진 상태는 마다 보여주시 좀 거지 마다 보이는 듯이 좀 거는 그리 라는 제시 장매바 유여배 파파만 맞아봐 제가요마 타파만 맞아봐 제가요마 다들 파만데 주만사배면은 들이 다대로 저 노지지 파만이데 남산이들이 남주지지 파만이 다 뭐라는 애들이 탑다 시합이래 그래들이 대지야 돈다 내가 단디는 단지니들을 돌려보니 돈들이 이양 생 탑다 시합이 생 어찌고 아래 대에다가 돈남대 뭐 하고는 그 돈으로 다다 이다지 요래 대회는 들이 대다 또 파망 맞아봐 다 책장 매대 대람서 하고 그래 오다 세들이 세지요 말이지 저 장미가 많이 그래서 롱로 받는 망고서 온거지 뭐로로 그서 온거지 다 감성 심지 장가지 하고 심지 장가하고는 잠시는 최들 차갑다는 속차요래 그래서 차가들 속차 대다요래 대답들이 이제 구성 각각 그래서 말이 나한테 소남단 그래서는 소남의 죽을 위해서 통고를 라도 매일이지 때문에 또 누구나 들이 소남은 이제 남들을 때니 들이 그러고지 잡들 속 채고 들이 속 채고 나한테 빼때 좀제 빼고 제 빼때 들이더니 다다다 속차담이 죽고 채부를 들이 속차 척차만 뭐 돈에 당들이 가라사서 되다 로도담는 속을 때다를 빼고 소 돈나 들이다 파마마 집어택장 매지 대양 람사하고서는 들이 대답들한가 아마지를 동네오나 들이라게 될 때가 제가 너가 뭐 딱 제다 오당리 제사래 따등만 제사래 대답을 하고 그래
So we spoke about this loving kindness, or we said this like very gentleness, and so from that, from this gentleness arises love, essentially. And so we often say that we have to develop a perception of seeing all beings like a mother sees her child. And the Buddha said that that could be difficult, and that is because it could be difficult. The Buddha gave many different methods for cultivating bodhicitta. The teachings are rich in methods and do not require so much difficulty. So the method is all a method to cultivate bodhicitta. And when we say cultivate bodhicitta, bodhicitta is something that has to arise from within the mind, meaning that you may be able to speak very nicely about bodhicitta, but that's often not much benefit. Bodhicitta is also not something you can manufacture with your hands. It's something that has to appear in your mind. And the way it appears in your mind is, the Buddha said, by seeing all beings as your mother. So first you bring your mother to mind. And this is something we always do, no matter what we practice, when we receive an empowerment or any other Dharma practice, anything other virtues that we may do. It always begins with this motivation of bodhicitta. Buddha said you have to see all beings like a mother and a child, like a mother sees her child. And why did he say that? It's because the mother loves her child very much. And that is something we can all relate to in this world. When we think about how much a mother loves her child, that is an idea that can easily arise in our mind. And then we have to go further than that and think that it's not just this mother. So in this life, for example, if a woman has a lot of children, maybe she has 10 children, or in my own family, we had 8 children. But it's not only that, it's not only those children that a mother has in her life. And so in order to understand that, we have to first look at our mind. Can the mind die or not? Does it die or not die? The mind does not die. You have to understand that the mind is never born and it never dies. And the mind will go on. And for as long as it wanders in samsara, especially in the lower realms, there will be suffering. So wherever the mind goes in the 6 realms of samsara, there's always more suffering, and there is not much happiness to be found, no matter where we go. The only final state of happiness or bliss is the state of enlightenment. And so may they be free. So the prayer goes, may beings have happiness and the causes of happiness, and may they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. So the teachings are a method to give rise to bodhicitta where it has not yet arisen. And the method essentially is to see all beings like a mother sees her child. And then after seeing, after bringing to mind your mother or your child, then think that my mind doesn't die. So I will go from life to life. And in each of these lifetimes, I have either sentient beings have been my parents or I have been their parents. But there is not a single being who has not been my child or my parent, just like my present parents. So the outer example of this kind of parenthood or mother and child, the love, is the union of the sky and the earth being one. And the inner example is the union of method and wisdom. So ultimately, we realize that there is no self, there is no other. There is no dualistic existence. And we realize that by unifying method and wisdom within our mind. So on the relative level, there is the perception of self and other. And on that level, we have to bring to mind that all beings on that level have been my parents. And then my mind cannot actually die. I will take on countless births. That is also explained in many of the scriptures. For example, Nagarjuna spoke about it, saying that first you have to try to fathom the number of sentient beings. There are so many sentient beings. And not just human beings, there's beings, for example, inhabiting all the waters, the oceans of the world. There's even more in the waters. And then there's all these beings that appear separate, but are they separate individuals? They are not. But depending on the level of one's own merit, one receives a certain kind of body in a given lifetime. God, a human or an animal, depending on one's own karma. For example, in the animal realm, if one is born in the ocean, sometimes we have beings have a very large body, and then thousands of small beings feed on this body, and so forth. So there's an unlimited number of life forms, large and small, which all are manifestations of karma. You can learn more about that by practicing or studying the 4 thoughts that turn the mind. But in brief, what we need to know is that there is not a single being who has not been our parent. And that is something that has to appear in your mind very clearly and instantaneously. Everyone is my mother. So think of your mother. If your mother suffers, how do you feel? Really ask yourself that question, like, how would I feel if I see my mother in misery? Of course, I love my mother, so I would not want her to suffer. I would feel that, oh, my mother is suffering. Of course, I would have a very strong feeling. I would feel very, very sad about that. So this is the first feeling that you need to recognize. That's so.
선수제 적대라 되리들이 상대고 봐서 그래 강의되는 자다 대 라랑 소소 작합로 상모도 선수 적대지나 그리다다 로랑가리 상모다나 랑가데 가와가 로스바네 모라스만 나가 소게지소 작합지소 작합도 면은 매직 들가게 소토고 말이지 가타크로 랑가 상모데 작합지소 작합도 소게지소 다만만이 작거든이 지소 혼자 도둑들 들라더니들이 지소 작합가 되지 몰랑가르더니 작합들이 작합도 가르인치 보래 작합 탐지 이 작합으로 장미를 뛰는 레드도 잡아다요나 랑가를 도고들이 작합을 가르지 이 랑가리 사강 총강 가르는 단지 참아대 총강 민강 리포크 총총로 로다데 작합을 가르지 오 로다는 저랑 소소라니야 로다는 이 아차를 띠지 띠는 도메인 로도다 하고 요래 로다데 작합을 가르면 로다 민강들이 사강 도강 총강 점강 가르이나 대탐지 작합을 집어다 하장까지 전부래도 그래서 고력을 들이 삼지지 이 세는 가리지 아무 동시 작합도 돼 도사까지 참아까지 지어다 하고를 또 우리 까지 집어래서 세는 초월을 따뜻히 삼질려고 요래 다 작합을 삼질려 대양당 양도 보면 이 작합을 지고 이 작합들이지 다 대탐 보티다 만나서로 들이 대화도 동안 담는 연거리 대탐이 레게 연거리 너는 작합지 봐도 매일만 대탑이 요 말에 딱 맞아봐 타바데 따라서 건데 내 손점에들이 잡아 뭐 담이고 작합도 가진 치보래 디디소라는 작합들 이 삼세 치고 용어래 데르들이 새로 좋아지 뭐지 데르 작합이 그래.
So this is a way to cultivate love just by looking around us in the outer world. And then also, for example, you can think about your own country. For example, the roads of your country. There are roads that cars and other vehicles can travel on. We can use those roads. We can go anywhere. And who made these roads? It's the country. No one person can come and make a road like that. But it's the collective effort of the people of the country. making those roads. So when you're traveling on a road, remember the kindness of your country. And of course, there's all kinds of different countries. Some are better than others. Some experience more happiness, some more suffering. But no matter what is the state of a country, they all have done something for their people, like building the roads or building shops and restaurants and hospitals and schools, and banks and courthouses and so forth. So there's a whole infrastructure built by the country for the people. And every time you see or use these facilities, think that this is, I can use this because of my country. It's the kindness of my country. So that's also how I feel when I see a school where little children go to school. When I see a child go to school, I feel that, oh, this is the kindness of the country. They built that school. So whenever you can bring it to mind and think that this is my country, they built that. It's very precious. I treasure them. So that is a way to cultivate love. In that moment, love really arises. Love for your country arises. So this is how love actually first arises, by first understanding, like really the reasoning. You think, for example, I can use this, and why? Because of the country. So the country is very kind and so on. So you think it through, and then a feeling arises. And when that feeling arises, that is really when love, for example, for your country arises. And then if you keep thinking about it continuously, then a real kind of I would say this patriotism. You really you feel like a patriot toward your country. You care for your country. And so of course, in one country, then depending on who is leading the country, people may experience more happiness or suffering, but that's again also due to karma. But in brief, we need the country either way, because if we don't have a country, people would not have a kind of a vessel, a place where they could survive. Without the protection of a country, you would have thieves and robbers running around. You would be safe nowhere. So we do need the country, and therefore the country is very, very kind to us. So when you think about it in this way, then love for your country will arise. And so then we cultivate love by thinking about the inner sentient beings. So not just the outer world, but the inner sentient beings. And so I've said that there's not a single sentient being who has not been my parent in the past. And so also not just parents, but there's all kinds of beings who do good things for others. For example, there is some scientists and there's some teachers in various fields of knowledge and so forth. Religion and whatever we do, anything we do, even if we use the restroom, there can be a benefit that is created. And so think about all the benefit that is created, and think about the good qualities of others, and think that their qualities are really incredible. So when you think in this way, then love for them will arise. So that is called remembering the kindness. And after we remember kindness, we have to repay kindness. Here we should think that, so when I love others, then what's the real benefit of that? Is it that, am I benefiting them or am I benefiting myself? If you love others, the greatest benefit really goes to yourself, because your own self-grasping diminishes. The more you think about yourself, the more self-grasping increases. Ultimately, when you cultivate bodhicitta, it is that the purpose of yourself and others occurs spontaneously or simultaneously. So when you make this prayer, for example, may all sentient beings have happiness and be free from suffering. And that's what we wish for them, but don't just think about this life. There will be suffering in this life. They will encounter suffering depending on their own karma. Negative karma has to become purified. And in that sense, suffering is not necessarily so negative. It is a necessity. It is something positive. It means that we don't have to go to the lower realms. But even the lower realms, like hell, for example, we can see them as like a kind of a place where we purify ourselves, or a hospital, or a place where we get a surgery done. So it is something where something meaningful is accomplished, because we purify negative karma, and as a result of doing that, we will eventually achieve great happiness that is free of all suffering. So when you cultivate immeasurable love, you should think of it in this more vast way. When you cultivate love for those inner sentient beings in the world. So it is something that you have to habituate to. If you don't habituate to it, then it will be very difficult for real love to arise within your mind stream. And so this is what I will speak about next.
They don't have quality, but that was the Jinping or that window. The Nancy Safety that the subject generally said the thing you pay or three stars of safety that Nandi may person. Sanji Jondi the Garrison. Rank the same Yongson than the Sanji de Mai. Sanji the Deba your same Samaji. Same Samaji, same Koran, Jedi Garret upon Garisamaji. Daji the Mebaji, Dadi the Mebashina, Daji Yimeva Hako Yore. Same Namkata red, the Lakar Kaba, the Kaban Boy, Lord, they took me about the Tomishin. Says don't yes to truck then a young daughter goes so they knew get again, everything. They got the matter of Tomato. Now save the Tamadishing in Boy. There is the email Hako. There is a song, took some church. Ye big order, Tony go to Tony Chibakari. Dog water matter, but dog water matter, young matter, 3 quarters shining. Dog was the same root or same story, same story, same Nakata way out of the Shake. Same coral and either government of the this same coral and Nakata, Yimeva. The Lord will look about the need is trouble money. Teta with 3 on top of them, 3 quarters around Yig, Sabat Sabi Bacina, this something they did Martina. Tung Kari order. Chapani, Nani, Nado, Rambalan Dola, Nasabere, not the car, Papa Nagisa, but the same to talk about Pachaja. Pachak, the take the time among top of that model. They tell to our Dora, Yiki Sharon Yore, doing the Bogo Colos on the Charmary, 3 quality Sharon. Sharon was the young Doctor Nandita to the theatre. Madaba Tapar Gertri, Cotton Camera me, some things of the Cotton Camera me and we already did a talk with Julius or Madaba Julius. That Madame is sometimes that is the Lord and Jimmy or the Chipaka Kachi and we already. Theta was some time. 3 around the same teacher and pay we were. The English same someday take a chocolate, the 50 times the Dang Yum J. They died, they told it, and they be 50 man of God, and you 50 times. The Sabbath say people, the Tamsi, Sabbath Yetaba, 7 charm, Zambojo, Kula Sabbath, Sabbath, so territory, so getting, I'm known to it. Tata, Sabbath Tamsi, Sabbath, come Sabbath chapter below. Territory, Nigeram, Jiggy, so Chava Targum, Teta Nigeram, Jiggy, 3 Nigeram, Jiggy, and Party Chokta, 3 Ram Jiggy Tamaran, say, told the Parana, so Malabi. This was not with Jordan Doe, Lumaya to Savakarish, the little one de Bangunia, this I took some with you, don't have to took some tiny which are we already.
Now we spoke about the inner sentient beings and the outer universe. Then when we cultivate love, and this love is sent out to those higher beings, it becomes faith and devotion and the pure perception. And then when it touches sentient beings, it becomes some compassion, altruism. And if it's a pure perception, when it becomes a pure perception, you will even see that anything that is composed of the 5 elements is actually the deity or the 5 Buddhas. And where we live, this planet, this earth that we live on, is composed of the 5 elements. So these deities really are our supporting ground for where we live. And then also our inner body is really composed of the deity, the 5 elements. For example, our flesh is the earth element, the blood is the water element, the body heat is the fire element, the breath is the wind element, and your mind is the space element. So the 5 elements really make up the outer and the inner universe, and they are the deity. And so when you realize that through cultivating love, self-grasping dualistic perception diminishes and your ordinary dualistic consciousness becomes primordial awareness. When there is self-grasping, the consciousness creates the 6 realms of samsara. When you cultivate bodhicitta, self-grasping diminishes and you ripen into the pure illusory body of the deity. So therefore, it is also through bodhicitta that you will begin to understand the meaning of the Vajrayana. So the new tantric traditions, such as the Chakra Tantra and so forth, all speak about the pure nature of our aggregates, elements, sense sources. There are many teachings on that, and I don't need to go into much detail here. So now, what we need to understand here is that everything is pure by nature. Everything is an enlightened activity of a Buddha. The 5 elements are the Buddha, are a deity. My own body is the deity. When you habituate to this thought, eventually you will mature into the rainbow-like body of the deity, and all impure karmas and habitual tendencies of the 6 realms will become purified. So it is because of these karmic imprints that we experience both happiness and suffering. And through altruism or bodhicitta, all of these can become purified. Because our true nature is Buddha nature. And if we cultivate bodhicitta, we come back to our true nature. So therefore, the Buddha himself had said, completely tame your own mind. This is the Buddha's teaching. You have to purify your own mind. When you purify your own mind, you will realize is the space-like nature of the mind. So when we purify karma, then the point of purifying is so that we finally realize that self and other do not exist. So what is there then if there's no self and other? There is this vast expanse of space. For example, if you have 100 phones, all of these phones are powered by one electricity. So you may have different bodies, but they all have the same mind. And the 6 afflictive emotions arising in this mind lead to the results of happiness and suffering that we experience temporarily like an illusion. But in the inner mind is Buddha nature. And on that level, we are always inseparable from others. And we can understand that when we cultivate bodhicitta. So therefore, when we cultivate bodhicitta, we actually begin to realize emptiness. And so what do we mean with emptiness? Understanding emptiness means to know that there is no real self. And because there is no real self, there's also no real other that exists. And so we are speaking about the mind and not the body. The mind is more important than the body. The mind is like space. We have mentioned that many times repeatedly. Look at your own mind and really try to find, is there something there, duality there? Am I separate in my mind from others? And just like space is not separate from anything, you are not separate from anything either. Your mind is like space. It just seems that there is this dualistic separate existence because temporarily the mind is in a confused state. Which diminishes if you give rise to love and compassion. But you have to bring it to mind and think about it, because if you don't think about it, if you don't habituate to this thought, then you will again fall back into old patterns. For example, when you go to sleep and you wake up from sleeping, the first thing you think is, I slept. And then from there on, it's all me, me, me. So naturally, if you don't really reflect on that deliberately, you will always follow the same pattern of me, me, me. And you will accumulate that, keep accumulating that, just like snowflakes accumulating into thick layers of snow. Your mind becomes more and more polluted or defiled. And these habitual tendencies are what bind you. And the afflictive emotions will naturally arise from these tendencies. And the 6 realms of samsara will naturally appear, just like watching a TV show. Everything will naturally come to you and appear. But in the end, whenever self-grasping becomes purified, all the ordinary people and forms, the world will appear as deities and the Pure Land. So the kind of the crossroad or the boundary between pure and impure is self-grasping and altruism. That's the boundary that we need to cross. So really think about it carefully. Really bring to mind that if I have to cultivate love for all, that's actually my own greatest benefit. And I can help others with my love. It will pervade them all. I must send love to all of them. So just always think in this way. All beings have been my parents. We are not separate. I love all beings and so on. That eventually immeasurable love will arise, and you will feel love for everyone. So, for example, in the prayer for excellent conduct, it references the power of all pervasive love. The one power that pervades all is the power of love. And so that is now, I'm speaking just from personal experience. So love is really something that you have to be able to generate that within your own mind. It has to arise within your own mind. And when it arises, compassion will naturally arise. And when love and compassion are present in your mind, then you are naturally practicing the 6 paramitas. You will do that on your own. It will happen on its own. And as a result, you will naturally become liberated. Milarepa said, practice virtue in whatever you do. That's the perfection of method or skillful means. And so if you have love, whatever you do with body and speech, all becomes an accumulation of merit. Everything becomes merit. And every time you cultivate love, you approach, you come closer, you step closer toward realizing the ultimate. So.
Roa langa namre borda sakan sokan karine pechuja leka longi chiba di sugar karine de gigi karine de na lobda na somni lobda tamje de lobda gigi tamje karine sama three rang chibu gigi mai wan jabal lenga chibu gigi tamje aja karine chibore si jeti mechu de chile karine gigi tamje karine chibore Dere Jagri Jiva, Cherabla, Dri, they were the devil Lamtos on the ledge of the maximum Sanjay, Chukadi Chibores. This is of the cutting trees, this is the Javiore, Dentry, the Tassel of Toa, something. This on the London Kima, Taz, the Rita, Roda Vision Sanjay, Mugata Sanjay, what Jeso, that is how they have the Jokanga. Go the Saji to the Toy Journal, simply something go, Tatri to come along, what it were. That was simply by the side of the Yaboy Mahako, what is I took some tea at the tour, told the dinner, more my genitality, and David Jelly, young round over it, more tea water. This at the double in the beginning, this are coming at the Nita, Sakang, Sakang, Legati, Matama, Garden Chiburi, Sanity. 소강으로 들어왔대 이 약간 레가티브 참아 가르치 버리 삼이 그 가능성으로 참아 도겠지 삼이 선생님들 연구 대상제리 이 페인 거는 다 우리 비어가고 다랑 이 저거 마파니 많이 걱정다 말해 다 답을 페인 거 어디 가이가 페인 삼제 페인 거래 삼제 소리 지내지 그래 오만의 배경 지내지 그 파니 걱정만 배경만 되게 걱 그처리 제마 다도 지레들랑 오만 배 몸만 다가는 피고 왔으면 들 대신은 들 나한테 받는 거 어떻게 열면 되면 나이 내 뭐라다 나나나 내가 보도 좀 나나가 자식을 정말로 나라도 이 독성 그 나한테 받는 내 동기들이 잡아봐는 이들이 sempre 차죠 들이 sempre 쇼핑을 차는 거예요 그래서 제시 봐요 때문에 조람 참기가 되자지 다른 상태에서 있지 뭐요래 될 비맞지 뭐요래지
So now, since we are here in this human world, we travel on the roads of a country, or we travel on airplanes, or we're using restaurants or shops and so on. And every time you use some of these facilities or infrastructures, I always think, why can I use this? It's because of the kindness of the teachers, really. For example, they teach us how to do all of these things. That is why whenever I go to a school or hear about it, I think of the kindness of the teachers. And they are really extremely kind. They teach us anything, such as some science and anything that we need to know in this world. And then there is the teachers who teach us karma and everything beyond this world, who open our eyes to karma. The Buddha, with his teachings of the Dharma. And so when you remember that kindness, a real feeling of gratitude and love arises in your mind. And so that's also very important. When you feel grateful and gratitude arises, love arises from that. And so, for example, we make this prayer, may I attain enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings. So every time, what this is to say now is that every time this love arises, for example, you're grateful and love arises, immediately recognize it and think that now this love has arisen. I have to make sure I don't lose this love. I must put it into the treasure house of all the Buddhas, so I never lose this love. In other words, I have to dedicate that love. I have to dedicate it for all beings. So first, always we cultivate the motivation of bodhicitta. Then in the middle, we always sustain this feeling of love. And in the end, we dedicate it, that cause of happiness for all sentient beings, because if we don't dedicate it, we may lose our merit. There's 4 causes that diminish our merit. So we have to dedicate. Whenever you go to a school or a restaurant, or you meet anyone who's doing working somewhere, just think of their kindness. Remember them with gratitude. And so when you feel everywhere you go, when you feel thank you, very grateful, you will always be filled with love for everyone. So that is what you should do, because if you don't habituate to that, the problem is just that you will quickly fall back into your ordinary habits of thinking me. So instead of doing that, instead of thinking that waking up, I have slept, don't think I have slept, but think I have to benefit all beings in this world. How can I benefit them? They need love. Who has the greatest love? It is intrinsic. So recite Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum. For example, when you wake up from sleeping, recite Om Mani Padme Hum, Om Mani Padme Hum, then go back to sleep. Then you wake up again, Om Mani Padme Hum. So then every time you wake up, you form this habit of instantly wanting to benefit sentient beings and reciting a few Mani mantras. If you do this, then you won't think about yourself. So self-grasping diminishes. Otherwise, if you don't do that, you will keep thinking of yourself and think that, oh, I have slept and now I'm going in my car, me, and I'm doing this great thing and that great thing. So you become very prideful. And so even though the I doesn't really exist, you create this idea of me, and I'm doing this and I've accomplished that and so on. And so this I falls down in your mind just like rain, accumulating more and more and creating a lot of suffering. And so what happens is that when you think that me, or I'm going to suffer, something's going to happen to me, I will not accomplish and so on, then you're losing. If you think me in this way, then you lose the strength of your mind, your inner strength, your power. And that is why it is also important not to always think about me. So what's most important is in all your activities to sustain this mind of gratitude and love and a pure perception. That's it.
디 끼메끼라는 같이 끼를 피면 다가리 미국이 보라요 저 아메리카로나 피지 삼제오나 미국에 걸음 먹죠 거래 오다 필이 다대 삼제게 와대 세부 이제 끼면나 삼제 끼는 피게 다대 십지 탐제로 삼제게는 대도 피게 샘지 탐제 동의게 제주고 단지리 단디들 미주고 삼제래 오, 드린 내비야 미지 다산 중심 조를 뭐지 사제에 성들이 랑 사제에 공방도가 얘들이 코알이 tartabati 코르지와 나디는 코코리 대하고도 들사 중심 비용이는 이 레선 칠레선 좀 이동하라 풍보서 뭐도 들 많은 데들이 가는 지네들 지네들이 잠때 제배의 지네들이에요 밤에 대탐제 지네들이 다 지나 들이 온돌이 대박하면甚至잠시 세면전에甚至잠시 동네들이 야 파티지 삼지 파동 대체가 요সম다 그 유체배변냐면 송로래 그렇다지게
So some people may have some doubts. Now, when you tell them that if you just cultivate love in your heart, you will benefit naturally. And people want to benefit others, but they have some doubt. They wonder, will I really benefit other sentient beings if I just cultivate this wish to benefit them or like love for them? How much does it really help them? It definitely helps them. And there is a sign, for example, one person is in Tibet and another person is in America. If they love each other and then hear each other's voice, they may start crying. They're far apart, but they cry. And that's a sign of benefit. I've benefited them because of love. I've directly affected them with my love, my connection of love to them. Because our mind, the basis of our mind is really one. And these tears, for example, are a sign of that. So you can certainly benefit sentient beings. And this is how to benefit all sentient beings. So the only cause of suffering for sentient beings is self-grasping. And the only medicine is love. It is said that love is the single sufficient medicine that cures 100 illnesses. So the Buddha called it the precious bodhicitta. If you have bodhicitta, you will liberate yourself, you will attain enlightenment, and you will help others become liberated. What causes us to wander in samsara? That which wanders in samsara is self-grasping. So remember this throughout the 3 times of the day and 3 times of periods of the night. You can remember it by reciting the 3-heap sutra, or you eat the mani pills. Remember the deity such as Chenrezig or Buddha Amitabha. Or at night when you go to sleep, practice the Om Ahung Vajra recitation. Remember sentient beings. Remember the suffering of sentient beings. Practice taking on their suffering and giving away your love to them. This is actually, it is said, a way, if you practice just this, it is said you're actually practicing uninterruptedly. So Dashitelek.
로봇 동네 미적 대화 답지 용원에 띠만이라 그렇다던 상제 띠만에 대가리 상제래 대 상제 체매 보나 상제 상제마 들이 사강 총강 민강 가와 성나 들이 상제의 생도 뭐 차대 들이 생도 뭐 나로 토가 됐다가 들이 레벨에다 토우물이 소소런 레벨 토지요 들이 고소 탑제라 들이 필만 용화 됐다고 대피의 용원 내주고 상제래
That is the prayer of all the Buddhas after 3 times. It is mentioned in the Bodhicharya Avatara. The only medicine to the suffering of all sentient beings is the teachings on the two truths, the teachings of the Buddha. And the teachings of the Buddha, in essence, is a mind of love. Love is the actual cause of all happiness, the actual medicine that heals all suffering. And so give rise to love for everything and anything. For example, when you go to a restaurant or you go to a store to buy something or a hospital, wherever you go, you can see it as like a good field where you plant that seed of love. And if you always plant that seed, crops will grow from that wherever you go. And so if you kind of spread the seed of love on all these fields, wherever you go, you will bring benefit and happiness to anyone, wherever you go. Love, that is our only cause, our only source of all benefit and happiness.
상지 좀 되게 장미처럼 초상 상적선이 되려 되네. 그래서 책성요리 나그 사람도 또 되지 소소가 되는 거니 다 탐지를 당연히 상적도 체면 봐야지. 상대 참말이요. 나그 사람도 또 그래. 이럴 때 이집으로 상지 뒤섬지 상지 탐지게 대상으로 삼아지고 뒤섬지 상지 탐지 또때 양띠 톡고요래지. 얘네들이 주제이지 놈들이 이전에 샘지는 내세요 말이 샘지 탐지를 내색이 뭐 요배 이 샘지 탐지에 상제 내라고 요래때 또 없으면 얘네들이 남아 사집에 때마다 지는 도거리 이 태송자와는 요 말이지 또 없으면 하고라 그리고 쌍설 가리지는 또 없으면 양대영 주시나 당선을 만나고 샘지 탐지를 피고서 체배부 삼아서요 저는 이 뒤는 다 참아들이 또 참아 토고 요래 Actually,
one more thing I want to mention, and that is, this method we mentioned, the method to give rise to bodhicitta. And so the Buddha accumulated merit throughout 3 endless aeons. And all of that can be summarized into 3 powers. So what he had accomplished can be summarized into 3 powers. The first one is the power of your own intention. And that is to come to a state where you feel I love everyone completely equally. And that is immeasurable love. So that's what you need on your part. Then the second power is the power of the great love of all the Buddhas after 3 times. The mind, the intention of all those Buddhas is one and the same. And if you give rise to love, which is their intention, you will connect with their power. You will receive their power. And then the third power is the power of the Dharma Dhatu, and that is to realize that fundamentally no real sentient beings exist. And because all beings possess Buddha nature, they can attain enlightenment easily. So these 3 powers, if you know these 3 powers, you will free yourself of any doubts you may have about how you will bring about benefit. So understand those 3 powers and think about them. Keep them in mind over and over again. For example, when we practice the smoke offering, the Sang and the Sur smoke offerings, we always bring that to mind. We bring those 3 powers to mind. So bring them to mind just instantly. And most importantly, the first power, the power of your own intention. I want to benefit others. I have great love for all beings equally. And if you have such immeasurable love, actually, you will naturally possess the other two powers. You will naturally possess all three powers. So please keep it in mind and never forget about it. Thank you.
애들 로런 양양도 나오지 참이들이 로런 양양들 저와들이오나 내가 뒤는 기바로 보자 나만이 뒤쪽으로래 다시들이 놀러 어이버리 선도 다자카라죠 와사바.
And please sorry, continue to engage in discussion groups, discussions with each other. And if you have any questions, you can ask the two kin Rinpoches that you have here. Ask them all your questions. It's good to ask questions. So Dashi Delek, long life to all of the Sangha here and also on the live stream. And then regarding prayers, there's two very important prayers, and that is the Shantideva Bodhicharya Avatara, and then the Samantabhadra prayer. If you recite these two prayers, you will realize the essential meaning.
Thank you, Rinpoche Tashidele. Tukje Chenan Kadinche. So we're going to do a dedication first. Dorjen Chang, Telopa, Naropa, Marpa, Malarepa, Dharma Lord Gambopa, Pamotropa, Lord Digompa, please bestow upon us most auspicious blessing of all Kaju Lamas. By this virtue may achieve emanations by defeating our enemies' confusion. May all who travel on the waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death across the ocean of samsara. Bodhicitta, the excellent precious mind, where it is unborn may it rising, where it is born may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. I pray the Lama may have good health. I pray the Lama may have long life. I pray that your Dharma activity suffer far and wide. I pray that I may not be separate from you. As Manjushri Devero realized the automic state, and as did Samantabhadra, I will follow in the path and fully dedicate all the merit for all sentient beings. By the blessing of the Buddhas who attain the three kayas, by the blessing of the truth of unchanging Dharma as such, by the blessing of indivisible Sangha order, may the merit I share bear fruit. By this virtue collected in the three times, by myself and all beings in samsara and Nirvana, and by the inner rule of virtue, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain unsurpassed, perfect, complete, and precious enlightenment. May the teachings of Great Digompa Ranashiri, who is omniscient Lord of Dharma, Master of interdependence, continue and increase through study, practice, contemplation, and meditation until the end of the samsara. Jizai Kunze Kunjin Chije Emdera Nelai Wando Digompa Renjen Barje Dembai Sing the Bar Jedo Design Gombe Zinjorje. Long life, Tashidele.
Our mind is together always.
Yeah, thank you everyone join the teaching and the Rinpoche the performing for this very profound teaching for us. and due to Rinpoche's kindness. And thank you, Rinpoche, long life, your Sangha. Pray for your long life. Stay with us. Ians, Tashidele. Thank you. Kon, you are mute.
Thank you, Gachi Mumiche, on behalf of Trikunda Master, Worldwide Sangha. Many Tachidale, many 2 years say, cảm ơn for your immeasurable love for of all of us. And like Khenpo Samdap say, may you live 108 years old or longer for the benefit of all sentient beings. You know, all you know, even though Trikung Damasia is hosting this event, but I believe that all of us here are part of the team, one team. Many of you have provided the technical support, the financial, resort, attended teaching. So all of us are part of that. We got like Christina Lambert from GBI and her GBF's team. We got the Vietnamese Zoom Bodhisattva team. We got GARCHEN Vancouver, and got Roma from Maryland, and Debbie, and many all the Dharma Center have gathered their Sangha together in the Dharma Center, and also do all the translation and teaching. You know, so we know that, and we also have Ina, our wonderful translator, and all the many other translators of many different languages. So we're all in together to attend a meeting, attend a teaching, but also convene the special teaching to all orders. We do it together. So I think we're part of one team. So it's just not the Drukung the Master. So I thank you for that. Deep grateful, and I'm really deeply grateful for that. And I know that we this time, many people from many countries in 4 or 5 different continents. I know, like Asia, we have Japan, Hong Kong, Taiwan, Vietnam, Nepal, India, and Tibet. And Japan, I don't know, but Australia, New Zealand, North America, Canada, Mexico, USA, many states, and South America, many countries, Europe, and many countries as well, even Russia and Ukraine, you know, so many people involved. So I thank you for that, for all your support. So last but not least, we also have recorded the teaching, and we upload on our YouTube, so everyone can review and study and contemplate and act on it this time. And then we can meditate, and we can realize that Gachi always said that when we meditate, our mind is one. We are all one. So thank you very much. Yeah. Cảm ơn bà là. Yeah.
So some I think have questions, so I can share and try to answer your question. Is someone raising the hand? Is your question or?
Khenpo, I think there was one question when Rinpoche was saying that we need to recite the 2 prayers. Which prayers? It was in the chat.
Oh, it's a kind of example prayer and king of aspiration.
It was.
And then
Rinpoche, would you mind to repeat Samantabhadra prayer and what? King of Aspiration?
Yes.
Wasn't it Junju?
King of Aspiration, Samanta prayer.
Yes. Then, Mara, you have
the dedication.
Yeah, I think I was going back to what I was saying, and then Rinpoche arrived was just there's our own personal practice, so like my own personal Tonglen. But then what I struggle with is especially with sometimes longtime Dharma brothers and sisters, and also other people that just have said things that I find really disturbing. And I mean, for me, it's like, sorry, it's very emotional for me, so I'm not as clear, so I'm going to try and be clear here. But to give you an example, when I hear people say that what Hamas did was good, and then I see pictures and videos and hear testimonies about brutal rapes and murders and horrific acts, like, I don't know how to deal with people who are putting hate. The school my family goes to in Montreal got shot at twice. Another building got firebombed. In Canada, this is my home. And with a Dharma brother or sister that then says those things, who I've known for many years, what do I say? I don't know how to be with them. I just, honestly, I just don't.
Okay, so Mara, that's we already, I think, give you answer. So my opinion already, and it's a very hard topic in the discussion individually, opinion. So the perspective with Dharma practitioner, I already give an answer. So we use these energies. Samsara is always a suffering. So, long as human beings has ignorance, these emotions, we're never going to solve all these problems. So that's use this energy. We have to practice. That's Buddha mentioned very clearly. The lotus flower is grow in the mud, dirty place. So we in this within some sort of suffering and this complicated place, we have to grow ourselves. That's my answer. Thank you. And next is a question or Valeria, I think I already did your question. So you have another question? Valeria, Concho Sonam.
Ilaria, I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, okay. Sorry. So very shortly, two short questions about what Rinpoche was mentioning. The first, he was mentioning the home and the Vajra breathing while going to sleep. And second, if you can briefly say a bit more about you mentioned the three powers of the Buddha of all the times, and the second is the power of the great love of all the Buddhas of three time. And if you can just say something a bit more about these two things.
Can you say again? I didn't get that one. So Vajra recitation, okay. So when we go for going to sleep and chant the Vajra recitation, okay. Then,
okay, so the breathing, the home with the three breathings.
Okay.
Because it mentioned the Vajra breathing, I think, if I don't get wrong.
Yeah. So you want to know more about that, how to meditate or?
No. I think I know it. I will just, so it will be good to do it before to go asleep. That's my question.
Yeah, yes, it's when if we have problem for sleep, and I think that's really good because bring the mind, body, breath all connecting together. So use this syllabus, Vajra recitation. Thank you.
And about, sorry, just about this power of the great love of all the Buddha three times, anything to add about that? Because he mentioned so he said the three powers are the first intention, and then the second, and then the third one, the one of the Dharma Dhatu, but not sure I got the second one very clearly.
This three power is, so first is like our good intention. Second is the Buddha, power of a Buddha, enlightened beings. Then last is the power of Dharma, that the true nature. Thank you. Bonjour, Sonam.
Hi. I had two questions regarding retreats. First, is a fire puja something I need a direct instruction on? There's a fire puja of the Vajravarahi, the blazing white rays of great bliss, that I would like to possibly conclude retreat on in a few years, but I haven't received a direct instruction on fire pujas at this time. And how should I deal with obstacles in retreat? I have a loud environment, but I also have food to do years of retreat that I wouldn't otherwise have. So
Okay, Bonjour, Sonam. So when you're going to do long retreats, then I think you just someone guide and need a guide retreats. So then which specific practice they have to guide. So I had to give you answer right now because I don't know your practice, which levels doing retreat how long, which kind you're using sadhana practice. So without that, I had to guide. Okay.
I mainly practice the GARCHEN RINPOCHE Nunro sadhana, and in a few years I was going to do the generation stage meditation after I of Haruka. After I do I think 200,000 of each of the 4 or 5
I see.
preliminaries.
So do you have all these instructions, teachings, right? You have, right?
Yes.
Okay,
I have
so then
the
follow by these instructions, because no, it's like very big. I mean, general questions like have to explain means like have to go through hours to guide, like share with you. But that's right now it's like your question is very general, very hard to give short answer. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Kempo, there are some questions in the chat. Did you want me to read them out for you?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Just a second. Go back. Can you say a few words on faith and devotion towards the guru and how it helps develop cultivating love?
So the devotion, the mention about GARCHEN RINPOCHE today, so long as we arise devotion to Guru, so that's also become connected to the love, because love, devotion is actually kind of same feeling, positive feeling. So different object. Love, compassion object is samsara, or samsaric beings. Our devotion object is enlightened beings, is noble beings. So this either way, we create the good feeling, or the cultivating this love or devotion, so support each other. Another way, like you arise devotion to Guru, then naturally arise compassion for others, love others. And we have love for others that also helps generate devotion to Guru. So this two is like link each other or support each other. So that's my understanding. And then how to grow our devotion is like due to our practice. So if we put more practice, more effort, and you recognize the power of Dharma, and then naturally arise devotion to the Guru. So if we don't practice ourselves, and then very hard to generate devotion to the Guru. Thank you.
Okay. Is the Vajra recitation the 100-syllable Vajrasattva mantra? And where can I find it? I think it's, yeah. And where can I find it?
Yeah, that's how you can find it. Thank you, Marilyn.
That wasn't from me.
Okay, then.
Okay, we'll move on. Question. When I try and help and give in everyday life, I try to practice to grow patience, but bump into the limitations of my patience and skills. That can give rise to experience of more self-doubt, burnout. How can we practice patience in everyday life without burning ourselves out?
So short way how to say answer question, Marilyn.
Basically, when they practice patience, they feel like they're getting very burned out, kind of tired of doing it, maybe. And how can
Losing
they?
the patient, yeah. They're called losing the patient.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how can they help that?
I think meditate, like, look to the natural mind, Ripa. And then all these delusions go away, delusions are gone, and then patient is naturally rising again.
Okay.
It's too much focus delusion, then we're losing the patient.
Yes.
So not too much fixation delusion, okay? So that's a good way to bring, looking to our own mind, meditate. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. And that is all the questions.
May I ask a question?
Yes.
Hi. Well, my dad died in the end of May, and I'm just still like really intensely grieving. I am just still crying all the time. And so do you have any advice? Like, how do I work with this grief? I just missing my dad.
So the important is like have to recognize the impermanent. Everyone is die, so we all die, and recognize that impermanent. So no one can stay alive permanently in the world. So everyone is die. We think about the permanent death of permanent. That also really helps. And then also you cultivate love, compassion, and long as love, compassion, you really truly cultivating, that is never passing away. So always there, you can connect with your love, compassion, and use that, and you always can help your dead, our loved ones. So that's my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we finish, I think. Another question, I think.
There's another question in the chat. Do you want to read it, Marilyn?
You can go ahead, Deb. It's fine. Or I can. I didn't see it. Okay. Dedicating our marriage should, is this a question?
Yes.
Okay. Dedicating our merit should be done with the intention of benefiting all sentient beings, not just ourselves. This cultivation, altruistic bodhicitta, even if initially not fully realized. However, some argue that we should face our desires honestly, not feign compassion or concern for strangers. This looks like an answer. They suggest that sincere actions, even in the guise of selflessness, are counterproductive. Insincere actions are counterproductive in Buddhist practice.
They go further and ask if this is a misconception.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay. So is that a misconception?
I think that's a very long questions, looks like. And also the opinion together.
Yeah.
So yeah, the important is when we do the dedication, so followed by the aspiration, Manjushri and Samadhabhara. So that's it. In the always we have dedication prayers. We don't know how to dedicate. And we say, Manjushri, Samadhabhara, you did dedication, how you doing dedication for others. My Mary also same is like that. And then that's okay already, I think. Thank you.
And it looks like Lisa has a question.
Shambhala, when we are cultivating bodhicitta and compassion, isn't it important to balance the wisdom and compassion? Because if we, like, let's say, talk about things like these TikTok videos and all these news things, if we go back to that and we return again and again and again, we are not using the own wisdom that we have within ourselves to know how to stay away from and stop that, and potentially ceasing the cycle of the negative emotions that it creates by watching these YouTubes and these TikToks and all these things going on with the war. If we just try to stay away from that and generate love and compassion for everyone, isn't that more of a balance of wisdom and compassion?
Yes, Lisa, it's good. Yes. And also we can away from that. It's another way is good. You know, if we can control ourselves, and then away from that is much better. If we can control ourselves, use this delusion, and then we can generate love, compassion again. So use wisdom. Thank you.
Thank you, Kempo.
Ashidala, everyone. Thank you. See you tomorrow. So we have meditation practice tomorrow, and then morning we have a daily practicing after meditation together. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you, Kempo. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kempola.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you,
Ashidala, hello to Mexico.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Hello.
Thank you, Gotchen.
Translate.
Thank you, GBI.
Ashidala,
Thank you, all translators.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Kempo.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Kempo. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Namaste.
Lorna. Hi, Lorna.
Hello, Kempo.
Hey.
Thank you, Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, all senders of hosts and translators.
Yeah, thank you so much to the translator. She is wonderful, really. Amazing job.
Thank you to our brothers and sisters. Take care.
Take care.